Chapter 43-51. After treasure god Nanwufengyu left, Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. Previously, he had forced his way through the Thunder God Great Hall, and his strength had been mostly consumed. For example, he couldn't use the Steps of Wisdom and his third stage talent fusion now, and the same went for the Tyrant Song sword. Therefore, a chessboard appeared in his hand and he raised it in the air. Boom! Boom! Pillars appeared out of nowhere in the void, forming a huge and majestic hall, sealing all the people who were pouncing over within it. However, those people were not afraid. They thought that they could break any of Lin Ling's tricks because they had more people. However, after entering the hall, they felt as if they had entered another world. What's going on? It's a boundary array. Boundary deity Miao's true inheritance, come and break the array. It's just a small problem. Something's wrong. I can't break this boundary array. Those who were trapped in the pillars were disdainful at first. However, they soon panicked as they realized that they were trapped. Everyone, don't panic. This is only a trap array. Our lives won't be in danger. Although this spirit formation is difficult to break, as long as we spend time, it will break sooner or later. There is no spirit formation in this world that cannot be broken. At this moment, an old man's confident voice floated over. It was Xuezun. After hearing him speak, everyone relaxed. After all, Xuezun was a dragon mark supreme robe. Since he had spoken, there should be no problem. Yi Liangchen, love to attack those who think they are outstanding. Life and death are nothing. If you are not convinced, then fight. However, at this moment, many voices came from the front of the hall. Then, a dense group of figures walked over along the pillars. Upon closer inspection, the leader was an old man who carried a long sword on his back. He looked very sage-like. As for the people behind him, they were experts in various clothes. However, one could feel that their auras were not weak. They were all early lower deities. Who are you? These people were obviously not Yojin's people. Therefore, someone immediately exclaimed. I am Yi Liangchen. I am Long Outyin. Zhao Ritian is me. Those people said at the same time. After they finished speaking, they didn't waste any more words and crazily attacked. I don't like to talk nonsense with people. If you feel that you have the strength to play with me, Liangchen doesn't mind playing with you to the end. Moreover, when he attacked, the old man with the sword on his back said rather solemnly. Damn it! The group of people who were trapped were undoubtedly infuriated. Were these people crazy? If it weren't for the fact that this group of people wasn't weak, they would have killed these lunatics on the spot. Revered Snow, didn't you say that this is a trapping array? What's with this group of powerful idiots? Someone looked at Xuezun angrily. They felt that Xuezun had failed to live up to the name of the Supreme Dragon patterned robe. However, in reality, Xuezun was also very confused. Just when he was feeling a little dizzy, the old man with the sword on his back attacked him again. Remember, my name is Yi Liangchen. In fact, when the old man slashed out, he spoke very elegantly as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know his name. I know your name is Yi Liangchen. You don't have to repeat it so many times. We're not deaf. Xuezun couldn't help but scold. He felt that this group of experts in front of him weren't humans. Instead, they were more like puppets. However, such powerful puppets were too terrifying. At this moment, no one saw that outside the grand hall, a box containing chess pieces appeared in Lin Ling's hand. He was continuously throwing out chess pieces that were the size of soybeans. When the chess pieces appeared in the hall, they immediately exploded and turned into experts. Scattering beans to turn into soldiers. It's about time. After throwing out a few chess pieces, Lin Ling kept the box and immediately pounced on Lei Gong. Rumble. The battle in the void was still intense. Although Lin Ling had trapped and killed many experts, it was only a portion of them. After all, the four gods had been in the void of the 9 continents for so many years. If they were to summon all of their strength, they would be able to find some hidden experts from the myriad worlds. This was also why the Spirit Kingdom didn't dare to casually attack the void of the 9 continents. While the void of the 9 continents couldn't compare to the Spirit Kingdom, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Looking at Lei Gong's battle, with the addition of Nan Wufengyu, the pressure on Lei Gong instantly decreased. This made Titanic Crescent God grit his teeth in anger. He knew that Lin Ling's arrival would change the tide of the battle. Now, it seemed that this was indeed the case. Swallow the pearl. Looking at the number 1 general under the Thunder God, young Lin, he was fighting against 3 challengers by himself. They were Luotian, 3 spirits, and Qin Yimo. However, not only did he not feel any pressure, he even suppressed them, increasing the pressure on the 3 challengers. From this point of view, young Qilin was much stronger than Lin Ling. After all, Luotian was twice as strong as the 3 spirits. It was just that Lin Ling had brought many experts and treasures with him, so he had a greater impact on the battle. At this moment, the young Qilin had already transformed into a green Qilin. It was as large as a mountain. It spat out a green bead from its mouth. This bead seemed to be the life treasure of the young Qilin. The bead continued to blow out green gusts of wind that enveloped Luotian and the others. Under the gusts of wind, Luotian and the others' flesh and blood began to melt. Their bodies were constantly being blown away and they couldn't move at all. Not good. If this continues, we'll all die. The originally seductive goddess Luo had been blown to the point where she looked like a dried corpse. However, she was strong enough that this level of injury wasn't fatal. It's Lin Ling. If it wasn't for Lin Ling's arrival, Eugene wouldn't have sent people to deal with him and we wouldn't be in such a passive state. Qin Yimo, who was also blown into a skeleton, said angrily. This 4-ocean air frozen pearl is mine. However, right at this moment, a figure appeared by the side of the green bead. He suddenly grabbed the bead and put it away. After the pearl was taken away, the green Qilin's aura was greatly reduced. Then, it shrunk and returned to the form of a child. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, it immediately looked at the person who suddenly appeared. That person was actually Zhong Shan. Zhong Shan, you're crazy. Young Qilin roared. Thunder God, you can't escape death. Why are you so stubborn? Besides, I've been coveting your 4 seas air frozen bead for a long time. But I also know that under normal circumstances, I can't get the 4 seas air frozen bead. It's only when you're fighting with your full strength that the air frozen bead loses its protection that I. Chapter 43-52. Traitor. How dare you betray Master Lei Gong? Looking at Zhong Shan's excited expression, the young Qilin was so angry that it spat out another mouthful of blood. The secret of the air-frozen pearl was something it had unintentionally revealed to Zhong Shan. After all, Zhong Shan was very good at flattering the young Qilin back then. Moreover, the young Qilin had thought at that time that he would never be able to obtain it. When the young Qilin spat out the air-frozen pearl, and Zhong Shan was one of them, the young Qilin trusted him. Who would have thought that Zhong Shan would betray Master Lei Gong? This was the first betrayal in Lei Gong's palace. Humph, that damned old man is blind. Why should he treat you and Lin Ling so well? We've been doing missions for the Thunder God all these years. Even if we didn't make any contributions, we still worked hard. But what about him? Lin Ling is just a newcomer. He just came, but he's treated better than us. What's the use of that? Zhong Shan sneered, his eyes were filled with malice. Zhong Shan, well done. You've done a great job. Looking at Hero Luo and the others, they were not affected by the wind. They quickly recovered and took advantage of the young Qilin's heavy injuries to attack it. "Brother Qilin, let me help you." But at this moment, Shen Yi arrived to assist the young Qilin. Lei Gong, who was fighting with Yu Jin, was worried about the young Qilin. But after seeing Shen Yi's help, he finally relaxed a little. Shen Yi had the divine blade. Although it was difficult to fight against Luo Shen and the others, at least the young Qilin's life was not in danger. Rumble. On the other side, the giant ghost was fighting against Luli Empress. The giant ghost obviously knew that Luli Empress was Lin Ling's biggest enemy, so it went after Luli Empress from the beginning, hoping to avenge Lin Ling. However, Luli Empress was too strong. Not only did the giant ghost not gain the upper hand, it was also at a disadvantage. The 8th level of the 8 divine brushes. Luli Empress also recognized the stone tablet in the giant ghost's hand. If it wasn't for the stone tablet, she would have already defeated the giant ghost. 6 dantians, it should be Lin Ling who passed it on to you, you shameless slut. The giant ghost naturally sensed Luli Empress's advantage. It then sneered and said, "Unfortunately, if it wasn't for Lin Ling, you would be the first person in the 9 prefectures, or even the God realm, to have multiple dantians. However, Lin Ling is above you. He has 7 dantians. You will never surpass him. Bastard." This sentence seemed to have touched the deepest part of Luli Empress's heart, and her attacks became even more violent. "You're afraid of Lin Ling because Lin Ling started from nothing and now he's catching up to you and even surpassed you. You know that one day, Lin Ling will definitely seek revenge on you." The giant ghost continued. "Well said. It's a pity that you won't have the chance to see it." Luli Empress's eyes were filled with murderous intent. However, just as she was about to kill the giant ghost, an expert arrived. It was Emperor God Zhonggang. As Emperor God Zhonggang saw that the giant ghost was in danger, he abandoned his enemy and came to help. As for his opponent, who was originally chasing after him, he abandoned him and ran towards another person. That person was Lin Ling. Because Emperor God Zhonggang's previous opponent was Emperor God Delay. "All of you, die." Emperor God Delay was once the leader of the top 10 martial gods. Her strength was naturally more domineering than Luli Empress. She wore a silk dress and looked to be in her 30s. She looked like a noblewoman, but she didn't show any mercy when she attacked. The terrifying power of thunder was unleashed from her hands, and everyone in front of her was killed. These people were from Lei Gong's hall. Ri Yun, Xiu Er. These people were divine generals and divine paladins. They were no match for Emperor God Delay, so they kept dying. This made Lei Gong's eyes turn red. Because those who died had followed Lei Gong for a long time. They were also Lei Gong's relatives and friends after he came to the void of the 9 regions. But now, they were all dead. It made Lei Gong feel as though he had seen a war between the gods. At that time, his comrades, relatives, and close friends had all died in the catastrophe. Trash, what's the use of not dying? Emperor God Delay looked at her domineering face. She laughed wildly and rushed forward. Emperor God Delay. On the other side, Lin Ling was also rushing over quickly. He naturally saw those who kept dying. His eyes turned red instantly, and a terrifying killing intent erupted in his heart. Lin Ling, where did you get this chessboard? Why is it exactly the same as mine? Tell me, if you don't tell me the truth, I'll kill all your relatives. You probably don't know that I've already captured your grandfather and your wife. Wait for me to capture you. Also, tell your people to stop attacking. I'll kill Lei Gong. Emperor God Delay's cloak fluttered behind her. She shouted excitedly at this moment. Obviously, this was her backup plan. She originally wanted to use Lin Ling to threaten Lei Gong, but who knew that Lin Ling was so powerful, so she could use her relatives to threaten Lin Ling. She felt a sense of accomplishment when she thought that Lin Ling would listen to her orders obediently. Kneel down now. When she was getting closer and closer to Lin Ling, she suddenly grabbed out her palm. Not far away, an old man in Lei Gong's hall was caught by a thunderbolt. Then, the thunderbolt raged, causing the old man's body to twitch. His skin melted like water and gradually turned into white bones. What a ruthless method. She must be the legendary martial god Delay. She's too powerful. I heard that she could fight with a god back then, but she disappeared later. Now that I've seen it, her strength is indeed terrifying. Of course, the entire void is in chaos right now, but there are a few places where the battles are extremely intense. One of them is Emperor Delay, because she's going to become one of the 4 gods. The experts who were still fighting in the distance were now shocked. Martial god Delay. In the distance, Lin Ling's eyes were about to devour someone. Although Lin Ling wasn't familiar with the old man who died before, it was the old man who led the way to Jojo apatheicized world and treated Lin Ling very well. But now, he was killed by martial god Delay. Show me what this is. The angry Lin Ling also roared. He opened his hands and a sea of blood floated out. Looking carefully, there were countless floating heads in the sea of blood. Ha ha ha, Lin Ling, are you still struggling before your death? Emperor God Delay didn't care at first, but after taking a closer look, she began to frown quietly because those heads were very familiar. They seemed to be her people. How is this possible? This is an illusion, it must be an illusion. Emperor God Delay kept shaking her head, not believing what Lin Ling had shown. Chapter 43-53. It's Are you alright? Are you alright? As soon as the young man appeared, the ferocious supreme god Delay panicked. She was like a mother who doted on her son. Moreover, she knew her son too well. She knew that the young man was real and not an illusion created by Lin Ling. Lin Ling, what did you do to my son? Let him go at once. Martial god Delay shouted. She wanted to provoke Lin Ling and infuriate Lin Ling. However, after Lin Ling attacked, she was the one who was infuriated. Oh no, Lin Ling has captured martial god Delay's son. In the distance, the experts from Eugene frowned. Martial god Delay's combat strength was not to be underestimated. He could affect the entire battle. Now that he was in Lin Ling's hands, it was disadvantageous for them. I didn't do anything to him. I only destroyed the little worm between his legs. Hearing this, Lin Ling sneered. What little worm? Martial god Delay was uneasy. What little earthworm? Isn't it the little earthworm between his legs? Lin Ling laughed sarcastically. At this moment, martial god Delay came to his senses. He was stunned for a long time before he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with hatred as he said, "You killed my offspring." After all, her natural talent was in the lightning element. Coupled with her formidable strength, it was very difficult for her to have children. However, during these past few years, she finally had a descendant. Not only did it allow her to experience the beauty of being a mother, it even allowed her to have a successor. However, when she was looking forward to having a grandchild, her son was destroyed. You're courting death. Martial god Delay could not hold it in any longer. Aren't you very hard to kill? Aren't you very arrogant? Now, I dare you to be arrogant again. Lin Ling snorted coldly, let me tell you, everyone in your imperial court was killed, and your island was also destroyed by me. Are you happy? Are you angry? Are you cruel? Ha ha ha. At the end of his speech, Lin Ling looked up to the sky and laughed. An eye for an eye. Hearing Lin Ling's words, God Emperor Delay's eyes turned red. Her home was also destroyed. You wanted to use my family to threaten me, but unfortunately, you failed. Instead, your family was threatened by me. However, I, Lin Ling, don't like to do such despicable things, so I won't use your son to threaten you. At this time, Lin Ling said again. Her words gave Emperor Delay hope. She did not want the last of her family to die. Although I won't use it to threaten you, it doesn't mean that I won't kill him. However, Emperor Delay's joy didn't last long because Lin Ling had already punched the young man, causing his flesh and blood to splatter everywhere. This punch is for the people of Lei Gong's hall who died in your hands. After killing the young man, Lin Ling said word by word. Emperor Delay roared as if he was about to go crazy. His anger and murderous aura had reached their peak. In addition, let me tell you, I will destroy your home and loot all your treasures. This is the price you have to pay for messing with my family. However, your treasures are extraordinary. It's a pity that you're unwilling to use them. Instead, I, Lin Ling, am taking advantage of you. Lin Ling's words were shocking, and he rubbed salt on Emperor Delay's wound again. Puff! Emperor Delay couldn't hold it in anymore. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Ling had killed all her family members and looted all her treasures. This Lin Ling had to be killed again and again. After so many years, this was the first time God Emperor Delay hated someone so much. Are you angry? Come and kill me. However, Lin Ling wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he looked at the void and said coldly, let me tell you, no matter who it is, even if it's Eugene or Titanic Crescent God, anyone who dares to mess with my people is a slap to my face. Unless you're really strong, you'll die. You'll die miserably. You'll die miserably. Lin Ling's voice seemed to echo endlessly. It lingered in the void, causing all the battles to stop temporarily. Everyone's heart was pounding. They knew that this was Lin Ling's way of declaring his dominance and sovereignty. He was also telling everyone that no one should provoke Lin Ling's territory or challenge Lin Ling's authority. Otherwise, they would die miserably. And this provocation included killing the Thunder God. However, for some reason, many people felt a chill in their hearts. It seemed that they didn't dare to provoke Lin Ling anymore. The main reason was that Lin Ling's notoriety was too strong. Everyone in the 9 continents knew who he was. It's just Lin Ling. Do you think he can fight against the entire void and the entire universe? Kill! At this time, Titanic Crescent God roared. His voice was like thunder, shattering everyone's fear of Lin Ling. This was because Titanic Crescent God had also noticed that Lin Ling's words had caused many people to become suspicious. Lin Ling, you killed my son, destroyed my island, and stole my treasure. I'm going to eat your bones and suck your blood. At this time, Celestial Emperor Delay let out a murderous roar. She wanted to kill Lin Ling. I got this treasure from you. Today, I'll return it to you. Unfortunately, Lin Ling was already prepared. Although he was no longer at his peak and couldn't kill Celestial Emperor Delay, he had a lot of treasures on him. There was nothing to be afraid of. A forbidden ball of mud appeared in Lin Ling's hand. Then, he threw it at Celestial Emperor Delay. Boom! The mud ball exploded in midair, and an ancient aura from the God realm spread out. It was so destructive, so desolate. Rumble. When the divine lightning landed on Celestial Emperor Delay, she immediately vomited blood and retreated. Her clothes were all torn apart. She found that she couldn't use her lightning energy. My treasure. She looked at Lin Ling in disbelief. Her eyes were filled with fear. She naturally knew what Lin Ling's treasure was. It was a treasure that could threaten a late-stage lower god. It was her trump card. This bolt of divine thunder is for the senior who died in your hands. While she was still in shock, Lin Ling released another bolt of lightning. With a boom, Celestial Emperor Delay's skin melted. It was terrifying. However, she couldn't care less about the pain. She kept waving her hand and said, "Lin Ling, no, no, no. This divine lightning is for Lord Lei Gong." Unfortunately, Lin Ling's killing intent had been ignited. Boom! The third bolt of divine lightning blasted out, causing the entire void to tremble. Countless people felt suffocated because in front of their eyes, the powerful God Emperor Monarch Thunder turned into ashes and was killed by the 3 bolts of lightning. How terrifying! Chapter 43-54. Kill. Lin Ling doesn't have many treasures like that. Even if we use corpses to pile them up, we must kill Lin Ling in the void. At this time, Yojin's voice suddenly floated out, "Everything is for the void. Kill." Although they were afraid of Lin Ling, they still threw caution to the wind and charged toward Lin Ling without fear of death. This was because fighting against the will of the world was not only their life's goal, but also their mission in the era of the gods. Die for me. Kill. Lin Ling's killing intent soared to the sky. Since these people were not afraid of death, then they could all die. He threw out a few more bolts of lightning, killing a large number of experts and creating a scene of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The current Lin Ling was truly the incarnation of a killing god. Enough. Kill. However, at this time, a loud roar suddenly rang out, causing all the battles to come to an end. A figure floated up and stood at the peak of the void. Then, his eyes calmly looked at all the experts in the void of the 9 prefectures. And he was Lei Gong. Lei Gong's sudden appearance caused the entire void to fall silent. This was the first time Lei Gong had spoken since the start of the war. Lord Lei Gong. Lin Ling also stopped attacking and raised his eyes to look at the thunder god in the distance. His brows were tightly furrowed. For some reason, he had an ominous feeling. Enough, enough. Standing in the void, Lei Gong's eyes were filled with excitement as if he was looking at the entire void of the 9 prefectures. However, at this time, 2 figures soared into the sky, one from the front and one from the back. They unleashed a powerful attack on Lei Gong. It was Eugene and Titanic Crescent God. Obviously, they wanted to seize this excellent opportunity to deal a fatal blow to the Thunder God. Lei Gong obviously did not expect Eugene and the others to launch a sneak attack. It was obvious that Lin Ling's arrival changed the situation of the battle, so Eugene and the others were enraged. In his anxiety, Lei Gong also used all his strength to resist. He only heard a terrible roar in the void, and then a blinding light appeared, stimulating everyone's eyes. They could only hear the deafening roar in their ears. A terrifying gust of astral wind also came from the void above, blowing some of the weaker people away. After a long while, the crowd looked over in shock. They discovered that 3 figures were clashing in the void. Lei Gong was covered in thunder and lightning as he resisted the attacks of 2 gods. Terrifying energy continued to sweep out. However, because the 3 of them had unleashed their full strength, the energy that spread out in the surroundings was getting weaker and weaker. Only the 3 of them knew that they'd used all their strength to resist their opponent, and they hadn't wasted a single shred of energy. Lord Lei Gong. Seeing this, many people shouted. Lin Ling's pupils constricted, and he wanted to rush over to help. As expected of Lei Gong. This battle has been going on for more than 30 days. Lei Gong is challenging 2 gods alone, and he still hasn't lost. Many people stared at the sky, their hearts filled with shock. Whoosh! However, at this moment, a merciless long sword suddenly shot over, piercing Lei Gong's chest from behind. Heavenly Sparkle Sword. Lei Gong lowered his head and looked at the sword in his chest in disbelief. He obviously recognized this sword. It could even be said that this sword was a reward he gave to one of the challengers. Because this sword had a strong resistance to thunder, Lei Gong had a deep impression of it. Chen Shuzhen. Lei Gong turned around and immediately saw a woman with a ferocious expression. She was still in the posture of a sword, and her eyes were cold. As for her, she was one of the trial takers under the Thunder God's curtain, Sister Zhen. Sister Zhen. Seeing Sister Zhen suddenly attack Lei Gong, everyone in Lei Gong's grand hall shouted. They recognized the sword in Sister Zhen's hand, and they knew that Lei Gong had rewarded Sister Zhen. However, they didn't expect Sister Zhen to use this sword against Lei Gong. Bastard! Lin Ling also shouted and rushed to the top of the void. However, when the experts on Yojin's side saw this, they immediately stopped Lin Ling without fear of death. This was because they knew that Lei Gong had been fighting for so long, and his strength was almost exhausted. In addition, he had to face Eugene and Eugene at the same time. That was why Sister Zhen was able to succeed in her sneak attack. Now that she was injured, Lei Gong was in danger. Why? Lei Gong turned around and looked at Sister Zhen as he asked calmly. To everyone's surprise, Lei Gong wasn't angry at all when he was attacked. This was different from his usual personality. For the world. Sister Zhen's clothes fluttered in the wind as she said each word clearly. For the world. Lei Gong suddenly laughed. His laughter was a little sad. Suddenly, a powerful force of thunder rushed out from his body and sent Eugene and the others flying. Sister Zhen spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying into the distance. How is this possible? After Eugene and the others were sent flying, they exclaimed in shock. This was because they had fought with Lei Gong for so long, and they knew that Lei Gong had reached his limit. It was impossible for him to explode with such power. At this moment, Lei Gong looked up at the top of the void. It was as though he could see through time and saw the years when he was cultivating in the realm of the gods. He saw his master, his senior and junior brothers, his wife, his son. There were too many things. However, because of the will of the world, all of these had turned into bubbles. Therefore, he hated the will of the world. He didn't expect that he, Lei Gong, was one of the hosts of the will of the world. He hated himself. Enough, enough. It's time for everything to end. The void of the 9 prefectures should fight against the will of the world with all our strength, and not waste our lives fighting among ourselves. It's time for everything to end. Suddenly, Lei Gong looked at the crowd below. His gaze swept across everyone as though he wanted to remember their faces in his heart. Especially when he saw the Lei Gong hall that he had built single-handedly, the nostalgia and reluctance in his eyes became stronger. I'm sorry for wasting so many innocent lives. Now, let me end all of this. Remember, one day in the future, if the will of the world is defeated by us, there was a man named Lei Gong who also contributed. As he spoke, cracks started to appear on his body. Then, the skin on his face started to crack and disappear like paper. Lord Lei Gong. Seeing this scene, everyone knew what had happened. Lord Lei Gong didn't want to sacrifice too many people, so he chose to commit suicide. No. In the Thunder God Hall, everyone was crying. Master, don't. We will protect you. Shingyi rushed up to the sky, but halfway there, he suddenly knelt down and kowtowed to the sky. Lei Gong. Lin Ling clenched his fists so tightly that his nails pierced his palms. He didn't feel it at all. He didn't expect that after sacrificing so much, Lord Lei Gong would choose this path. Chapter 43-55. Bang! Lin Ling also knelt down in the air and kowtowed to Lord Lei Gong. Lei Gong had done Lin Ling a favor. When Lin Ling first came to the final world, it was Lei Gong who had found him and protected him. Without Lei Gong, Lin Ling would have died at the hands of the 9 states martial gods and Luli Empress. It was Lei Gong who had protected him and made him mature. This favor was as heavy as a mountain. Lord Lei Gong. In the Thunder God Great Hall, everyone also kowtowed. Looking from afar, the scene was incomparably spectacular. As for Eugene and the others, they were all silent with complicated expressions. Some were sighing in their hearts, while others were secretly impressed. This was a tragic song for a hero. However, there were also people who were secretly gloating. Remember, Lord Lei Gong's mission is to fight against the will of the world. After I leave, don't ever forget this mission. Lei Gong looked at everyone with gratification and a smile appeared on his face. Suddenly, his gaze landed on Qilin. I promised to find your tribe for you. Unfortunately, I didn't do it. Qilin, you won't blame me, right? I won't. In the distance, the child's face was already covered in tears. He kept kowtowing to the indomitable elder. Shengyi, I'm very gratified to see you rise from the bottom. I hope that your footsteps won't stop here. Lei Gong looked at Shengyi. The latter was already sobbing, but he kept looking at Lei Gong as if he wanted to remember this scene forever. Lin Ling. More and more cracks appeared on the thunder god's body, but his eyes were fixed on the last person. Lord Lei Gong. Lin Ling raised his head and looked at Lei Gong. You are the fastest growing participant in Lei Gong's Great Hall. You are also the successor of my close friend. You are loyal and righteous, but you also dare to take responsibility for your actions. You have the demeanor of a king. Therefore, I will pass the Great Hall of Lei Gong to you. Can you accept it? The thunder god's voice suddenly became loud and clear, and even the void trembled a few times. I will. Lin Ling gritted his teeth and spat out a heavy promise from his mouth. Good. Lei Gong nodded with gratification and said, after I leave, remember not to be hostile to the entire 9 states. Remember, Lin Ling is your leader. Do you understand? This subordinate obeys. The remaining people in Lei Gong's Great Hall replied. Lin Ling, I'll share this void with you. Suddenly, Lei Gong pointed with his right hand and a stream of light shot toward Lin Ling. Lin Ling did not stop it and allowed the stream of light to enter his body. Then, he noticed that a large number of techniques rose up in his mind. They were all complicated chants used to control this void. Lin Ling had already witnessed how powerful this void was. Even a great battle between gods couldn't break through this place. However, this void also had a flaw. It had no spiritual energy, but it was also a secluded place like a paradise. Okay, little ones, I'm leaving. After making his final arrangements, the god of thunder laughed heartily. His eyes looked at the top of the void as if he had seen his best friends from the age of the gods. Finally, his body scattered like ashes and scattered with the wind. Lord Lei Gong. Seeing this, the people in Lei Gong's Great Hall roared in unison. More tears welled up in their eyes. At the same time, Titanic Crescent God's eyes became moist as he watched the ashes disappear. He said in a low voice, Brother Lei Gong, rest in peace. I will complete the mission of fighting against the will of the world for you. He obviously did not hate Lei Gong. However, Lei Gong was the host of the will of the world, which caused them to have different standpoints. Hence, he treated him as an enemy. Looking at Eugene, her face was still cold and indifferent. No one knew what she was thinking. The entire void was silent. They all knew that the battle that had shaken the void of the 9 prefectures had finally come to an end. However, after Lei Gong's death, their hearts were filled with complicated feelings. They felt like they wanted to say something, but they did not know what to say. If we knew this would happen, we wouldn't have caused the deaths of so many people. That's right, that's right. Now that Lei Gong is dead, the 4 gods still keep Lei Gong's Great Hall. Furthermore, Lei Gong's Great Hall is still the main force against the will of the world. It's a pity that Lei Gong committed suicide too late. If he had, we wouldn't have lost so many people. Some people were quietly discussing. Boom! However, at this moment, a blood sea sword slashed down and landed on one of the people, cutting him in half. This made everyone look over and realize that it was Lin Ling. Lin Ling, what are you doing? Some people were furious. That was because the god of thunder had already died, and this great battle should have ended, yet Lin Ling still killed their people. Moreover, he had killed them in front of a true god. This was really too arrogant. Die. Lin Ling's eyes were filled with killing intent. He continuously slashed out with his sword. Now that he could use the scabbard again, his strength had completely recovered. Swoosh! The blood sea sword roiled, revealing ruthlessness, killing intent, and coldness. More than 10 lives were taken. Lei Gong sacrificed his life for the sake of the void of the 9 prefectures. These people actually thought that Lei Gong should have died earlier. Since he said that he would die, then all of them should die. Swoosh! Lin Ling's body appeared above the blood sea. It was as if he was riding the wind and breaking the waves. Wherever his sword passed, even early-stage low-level gods would be killed. No one could stop him. Crazy, Lin Ling is crazy. At first, people were angry at Lin Ling's ruthlessness. However, as the merciless sword slashed out, they started to feel afraid. In their eyes, Lin Ling was a madman that they couldn't afford to offend. Eugene and Titanic Crescent God frowned at Lin Ling. They could understand Lin Ling's feelings, but Lin Ling was too arrogant. Did he think that they didn't exist? Come out. However, Lin Ling's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Therefore, he waved his right hand and a large number of chess pieces floated out. Then, they turned into countless experts in front of Lin Ling. It was the magic arsenal. Kill him. Lin Ling said mercilessly. Lin Ling, do you really want to go against the entire void of the 9 prefectures? Lei Gong is dead. Do you know what you are doing? At this moment, even Eugene and the others spoke out. However, Lin Ling was now the new master of Lei Gong's Great Hall. Therefore, they didn't dare to casually attack Lin Ling. After all, Lin Ling wasn't the host of the will of the world. He wasn't like Lei Gong. All of you, die. Unfortunately, Lin Ling didn't even give face to Eugene and the others. He continued to kill without hesitation. Ah, save me. This Lin Ling is even more terrifying than Lei Gong. Chapter 43-56. The difference between Lin Ling and Lei Gong was that Lei Gong did not dare to attack his own people. On the other hand, Lin Ling dared to kill without restraint. Lin Ling had never suppressed his killing intent. Furthermore, he did not care about the entire 9 prefectures. He only cared about his own people. No, 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 don't kill me. One of the powerful elders saw Lin Ling stepping on the sea of blood and immediately waved his hand in panic. It's too late. Unfortunately, Lin Ling slashed out with his sword. He knew that this elder was the one who mocked Lei Gong as the strongest. Since he had a foul mouth, he would make up for it with his life. Kill him. After Lin Ling charged into the group of experts, they were unwilling to be slaughtered and resisted with all their might. Do you think you can kill me? Unfortunately, Lin Ling was not afraid at all. With a slash of his sword, the sea of blood churned and wiped out everything. With every step he took, the top experts of the 9 prefectures fell. It could be said that he killed 10 people with each step. Moreover, Lin Ling's magic arsenal was now slaughtering the experts. Lin Ling, that's enough. Seeing Lin Ling's fearless attitude, Titanic Crescent God finally made his move. In the sky, a huge palm viciously grabbed at Lin Ling. This was the strength of a late-stage lower deity. Lord Titanic Crescent. Seeing this, many people also shouted excitedly. Although Lin Ling represented the entire Great Hall of Lei Gong and became one of the 4 great deities, everyone knew that Lin Ling did not have the strength of the 4 great deities. Stage 3. Seeing the huge palm coming at him, Lin Ling let out a low roar. A grey robe appeared and an aura that represented nirvanic energy quietly spread out. Borrowing the power of the Demon Slayer sword, Lin Ling slashed out with all his might. This was also his strongest attack at the moment. Boom! Puff! Puff! Pop! Pop! When the great sword collided with the giant palm in the sky, a terrifying shockwave erupted. Then, everyone saw Lin Ling flying backwards. However, after drifting for thousands of miles, he stabilized his body and was safe and sound. What? Everyone was shocked. How is this possible? Titanic Crescent God also let out a cry of surprise. In everyone's opinion, Titanic Crescent God's move should have been enough to suppress Lin Ling's arrogance, but all it did was push Lin Ling back and not injure him at all. How did Lin Ling become so powerful? Without a doubt, the entire void was silent. Other than a limited number of people, everyone else was shocked. However, Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others weren't surprised. First, the Titanic Crescent God had fought Lei Gong for a long time, so he was no longer at his peak. Secondly, they had all seen the strength of the grey-robed Lin Ling, but the others had not. No wonder you are so arrogant. It turns out that you have the capital. It seems that Big Brother Lei Gong has his reasons for handing over the Thunder God Palace to you. Titanic Crescent God said in a low voice. He knew very well that Lin Ling had only cultivated for a short period of time, but he was already strong enough to exchange blows with a god. If given more time, Lin Ling would definitely be on par with the four great gods. However, although Lin Ling would be very strong in the future, he was still just a junior of Titanic Crescent God. If a junior dared to be so arrogant, Titanic Crescent God would lose face if he didn't teach him a lesson. I'll teach you how to behave on behalf of Big Brother Lei Gong. Titanic Crescent God roared and was about to attack again. However, at this time, an old man appeared around Lin Ling. It was Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu, followed by God Emperor Zhanggang, Giant Ghost, Saint Gi, Young Qilin, and everyone else in the Great Hall of Lei Gong appeared behind Lin Ling. It was as if they were representing the Great Hall of Lei Gong against Titanic Crescent God. Upon seeing this, Titanic Crescent God stopped in his tracks and coldly glared at Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling was indeed representing the Great Hall of Lei Gong. Big Brother Lei Gong. You don't have the qualifications to call Lei Gong Big Brother. Lin Ling stared coldly at Titanic Crescent God. Titanic Crescent God clenched his teeth, seemingly feeling guilty and in the wrong, so he didn't say anything this time. Lin Ling, since you've taken over the Great Hall of Lei Gong, I hope that you won't go against Big Brother Lei Gong's wishes. Remember, before he left, he also told you not to treat the 9 continents as your enemy. Titanic Crescent God spoke slowly after a long moment of silence. Scram! Hearing this, Lin Ling roared angrily. Lin Ling naturally knew about Lord Lei Gong's wishes. He had killed mercilessly earlier because he couldn't stand those people gloating over his misfortune. Since they dared to gloat, he would kill them. As for the rest, they didn't gloat, so Lin Ling didn't attack again. However, Lin Ling's eyes were filled with hostility. If it wasn't for Lord Lei Gong's wishes, Lin Ling might have killed them. Scram! Titanic Crescent God clenched his teeth again when he heard Lin Ling's voice, but in the end, he didn't dare to say anything and flew away with his people. Eugene looked deeply at Lin Ling before leaving with her people. She had a feeling that after Lin Ling became the master of the Great Hall of Lei Gong, he would be even more difficult to deal with than Lei Gong. After everyone left, the void became even quieter. Luli Empress left with Eugene, her eyes flickering. Although Lei Gong had fallen, in reality, only the other gods and the Spirit Kingdom had benefited. Luli Empress didn't get any advantage at all. Instead, she had to watch Lin Ling become one of the 4 gods. And this made her very unhappy. Wait, are the 2 of you from the Great Hall of Lei Gong? At this time, Lin Ling's cold voice came from the void. His gaze was fixed on Zhong Shan and Sister Zhen. The two of them were shocked. Knowing how strong Lin Ling was now, they didn't dare to confront Lin Ling. I've already joined the Titanic Crescent God side. I've joined Yojin's side. The two of them said at the same time. They wanted to use Yojin's name to deter Lin Ling from acting rashly. I don't care who you are. You used to be Lei Gong's people. That's enough. You have to stay. Lin Ling shouted. He saw that Zhong Shan and Sister Zhen were the only two traitors in the Great Hall of Lei Gong. Zhong Shan ambushed the young Lin, and Sister Zhen was even more shameless and disgusting. She ambushed Lei Gong. Although Lei Gong didn't care about Sister Zhen, how could Lin Ling not care? No, 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 we can't stay. Hearing Lin Ling's words, Zhong Shan and the others' faces turned pale. They quickly looked at Eugene and said, Sir, please help us. Previously, they had contributed to killing Lei Gong. Therefore, they knew that Eugene and the others would definitely help them. The matters of our Great Hall of Lei Gong are not for outsiders to interfere. Unfortunately, Lin Ling spoke again to shut Eugene and the others' mouths. Lin Ling. Eugene frowned as if he had something to say. Chapter 43-57. How dare you? What he meant was, you dare to interfere with the matters of our Lei Gong palace. Eugene stood there silently. No one knew what she was thinking. In the end, she did not say anything and turned around to leave. Her mood was extremely gloomy because her junior now had the right to reprimand her. Recalling all of this, she felt like she was in a dream because Lin Ling's growth speed was too fast. And now, if Lin Ling was an ordinary person, Eugene would not be afraid of him. But now, Lin Ling represented the entire Lei Gong palace and was one of the four gods. Eugene had to give him face. After all, when they fought against the will of the world in the future, the 9 continents void would need the help of the Lei Gong palace. Lord Eugene, don't. Looking at Eugene and the other experts who were leaving, Zhong Shan and Sister Zhen's faces became even paler. Looking at the people in the Lei Gong palace, they were all filled with killing intent as they stared at Sister Zhen and Eugene. They wanted to see what these two traitors could do. Run! Sister Zhen was very clear that if she fell into Lin Ling's hands, she would only end up dead. So, her only choice was to run. Of course, she hated Eugene and the others because she killed Eugene and Lei Gong for them. But after that, Eugene and the others betrayed her and blamed Lei Gong's death on her and Zhong Shan. Realm Cloud. Sister Zhen waved her right hand and a white cloud appeared, floating under her feet. Then, it carried her away at a speed of 200,000 worlds. At the same time, the white cloud under her feet was burning. Clearly, the realm cloud was an extremely rare treasure. 200,000 worlds was already beyond the limits of many people. Even Lin Ling had to use his third stage fusion talent to catch up with Sister Zhen's speed. So, when the others reacted, Sister Zhen had already disappeared from their sight. Stop her! Many people roared, but they were still a step too late. She can't escape. However, Lin Ling had been keeping an eye on Sister Zhen, so he was already prepared. With a thought, 19 pillars appeared in the distant void. Then, he hid in the void and waited for Sister Zhen to rush into the pillars. And that was the universal Qing Tian formation. Looking at Zhong Shan, he was scared silly because Sister Zhen ran away faster than him. Damn it, is she trying to make me the scapegoat? Run! Zhong Shan roared and rushed to the other side. However, no one was a fool. The moment he made his move, the others had also sensed it. Numerous figures appeared and blocked his escape path. Not good, this way. Zhong Shan's forehead was drenched in cold sweat as he rushed to the other side. However, a huge saber came slashing at him. It was Saint Guy. This way. The fear on Zhong Shan's face deepened as he turned around and fled in a frenzy. But on this side, it was Giant Ghost and Emperor God Zhang Gang. Then on the other side, it was Treasure God Nanwu Fenyu. And finally, Lin Ling stood there in his grey robe, holding his huge sword at a slanted angle. The four seas were completely sealed off. Ah! Zhong Shan looked at the experts coming from all directions. His legs trembled and his face was as pale as paper. He knew very well what would happen to him if he fell into their hands. He also knew how much Lei Gong hated him now. Spare my life, spare my life. I was just blinded by greed before. I am loyal to the Thunder God. Zhong Shan knelt down in the air and kowtowed to the crowd. Brother Qilin, I will return your air-frozen bead to you. I was greedy for your treasure, but I did not want to kill Lord Lei Gong. Moreover, if Lord Lei Gong dies, I will be heartbroken too. Unfortunately, Qilin's face was cold. He did not say a word as he slowly walked towards Zhong Shan. Elder Tu, help me. You are my guardian. You watched me grow up. You can't let me die here. Seeing that it was useless to ask for Qilin's help, Zhong Shan immediately looked at another old man. However, the old man's face was cold and he did not say a word. Only a thick murderous aura emanated from him. Granny Lin, help me, help me. Saint Guy, we are all trial takers. You can't watch me die. Zhong Shan panicked when he saw that the crowd was not saying a word and was only moving closer. Lin Ling, I was wrong. I should not have been jealous of you. I should not have harmed Qilin. For so many years, I have worked hard in Lei Gong's great hall. I hope that you will spare my life for Lord Lei Gong's sake. In the end, Zhong Shan finally knew who had the final say in Lei Gong's great hall. Therefore, he kept kowtowing to Lin Ling, hoping that Lin Ling would spare his life. However, Lin Ling did not say a word. He held his great sword and walked over step by step. When he looked at the others in Lei Gong's great hall, they had also stopped in their tracks. However, they had surrounded Zhong Shan so tightly that not even a drop of water could escape. Lin Ling, you, what are you trying to do? Zhong Shan raised his head and saw the ferocious Lin Ling walking towards him. He quietly took a step back. Years ago, when Lin Ling first came to Lei Gong's great hall, he treated Lin Ling as a junior. After that, he wanted to harm Lin Ling and bully Lin Ling in front of outsiders. That was because he felt that he was more senior and stronger than Lin Ling. Lin Ling could only lower his head in front of him. However, now, Lin Ling was already above him. Whether it was strength or status, he had greatly surpassed him. He could only look up to Lin Ling. I don't want to say anything, and I don't care to say anything. Lin Ling stopped in front of Zhong Shan and looked down at him. I just want to give you a stab on behalf of Lei Gong. After saying that, Lin Ling swung his sword. As the sword fell, he turned around and walked back. Swoosh! The sword landed on Zhong Shan's right arm and cut out a large amount of flesh. Zhong Shan grimaced in pain and his face twisted continuously. Thank you, thank you. However, Zhong Shan also heard Lin Ling's words. Lin Ling only swung his sword at him once. This meant that he could still live. Lord Lei Gong doesn't belong to me alone. Therefore, that sword only represents me and not the others. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice drifted over at the same time. Zhong Shan was stunned. Subconsciously, he turned to look at the others and instantly understood what Lin Ling meant. The previous sword only represented Lin Ling and not the others. This meant that the others were going to represent Lei Gong and give him a stab. Lin Ling, you're messing with me. At the thought of this, Zhong Shan roared. His eyes were bloodshot and bloodshot. Chapter 43-58. Swoosh! Blood gushed out as the blade landed on Zhong Shan's left arm, cutting off a large amount of flesh and blood. Zhong Shan was in so much pain that he almost fainted. Of course, what angered him the most was that the person who attacked him was his guardian, Old Tu. I will also represent Lei Gong and give you a sword strike. After Old Tu walked back, the others also walked out one after another, each of them giving Zhong Shan a ruthless blow. Oh! No! With Zhong Shan's strength, how could he resist the crowd? It was as if he was being executed by 1,000 cuts, bearing the anger of the crowd. Every saber, every sword, every spear, even Zhong Shan's soul was under attack. No one showed mercy, venting their anger for Lei Gong's death on Zhong Shan, but they didn't let him die. In the end, Zhong Shan's dantian was smashed into pieces, completely turning him into a cripple. He groaned in pain and looked up, only to find that only half of the people in Lei Gong's palace had been mobilized. There was still half who hadn't come for revenge. Kill me, kill me. Zhong Shan said weakly. Now, he was thoroughly regretting it. Because he was greedy for the treasure of the young Qilin and thought that Lei Gong was dead for sure, he didn't hide his thoughts at all, causing everyone to hate him to death. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have exposed his thoughts so quickly. Lin Ling, it was all Lin Ling's fault. Zhong Shan was very clear that without Lin Ling, the Lei Gong's palace would have disintegrated and even been absorbed by other gods. At that time, no one would dare to make a move on him. However, after Lei Gong handed over the Lei Gong's palace to Lin Ling's words represented Lei Gong's words. Naturally, the crowd became unscrupulous. My air-frozen bead isn't that easy to take. At this time, a huge green Qilin appeared in front of Zhong Shan. It looked at Zhong Shan and bit down, tearing out a large amount of flesh. This green Qilin was the young Qilin. Ah! Zhong Shan's body was twitching as blood flowed out from his wounds. He looked extremely miserable. However, no one sympathized with him at all. Time passed quickly, Zhong Shan no longer had a single intact piece of flesh on his body. He had turned into a skeleton with the exception of his head. Such a scene would send chills down one's spine. He was also bound by a chain to a pillar. The pillar contained precious treasures of heaven and earth that prevented Zhong Shan from dying. Because, as the first traitor of Lei Gong's palace, letting him die like this was letting him off too easily. What a pity. Sister Zhen, that bitch, let him escape. When the young Qilin saw that Zhong Shan was on his last breath, it no longer paid any attention to him. This was because he had also seen it with his own eyes. It was Sister Zhen who had dealt the fatal blow to Lei Gong. Hence, compared to Zhong Shan, Sister Zhen was more infuriating. After all, Zhong Shan had the heart but not the guts. That bitch, I didn't expect her to be so vicious. Now that no one is helping her, she's the first to escape. Shameless. The others also said, unable to vent their anger. Don't worry, she won't be able to escape. At this time, Lin Ling said calmly. His words stunned everyone. Then, they looked at Lin Ling with excitement in their eyes. Lin Ling, what do you mean? The young Qilin and Xingyi were undoubtedly the most excited. This was because they had deep feelings for Lei Gong. Hence, they hated Sister Zhen the most. She won't be able to escape from my grasp. Seeing their expectant gazes, Lin Ling said calmly. That's great. Although they didn't know how Lin Ling did it, they couldn't help but laugh when they saw how confident Lin Ling was. Moreover, they were even more convinced of Lin Ling's abilities. In fact, no one objected to Lin Ling becoming the owner of Lei Gong's Grand Hall from the beginning. After all, they saw how Eugene and the rest couldn't stop them. They could object to Lin Ling, but after he arrived, he shocked the entire land of the 9 states. If Lord Lei Gong wasn't soft-hearted and couldn't bear to see too many people bleed and committed suicide, Lin Ling might have helped Lord Lei Gong defeat the strong enemies. Moreover, Lin Ling was the only person who could kill Lei Gong's enemies. Hence, they respected Lin Ling from the bottom of their hearts. Come out, Universal Qingtian Array. Seeing the excited gazes of the crowd, Lin Ling didn't hide anything. He waved his right hand and 19 pillars appeared in the distant void. Moreover, the crowd could clearly see a figure running wildly among the pillars. However, no matter how fast she was, she seemed to be unable to move at all. It was as if she was running on the spot and couldn't break through the restraints of the 19 pillars. And that person was none other than Sister Zhen. So, she didn't escape at all. Seeing this, many people laughed. Their laughter was cruel and bloodthirsty. In the end, the murderer couldn't escape the punishment of Lei Gong's Grand Hall. Moreover, if Sister Zhen escaped, the Grand Hall of Lei Gong would lose its reputation in the land of the 9 states. Others would say that the Lei Gong's Grand Hall was so powerful, but they couldn't even catch the murderer who killed Lei Gong. Fame. However, unlike what the crowd saw, Sister Zhen couldn't see those mysterious pillars at all. Instead, she saw the land of the 9 states and even the 10,000 worlds. Therefore, at this moment, she was very excited and felt a sense of relief in her heart. I finally escaped. That's great, that's great. Haha, what bullshit, Lin Ling. You can't even catch me, the murderer. You want to lead the Lei Gong's Grand Hall. I think you're dreaming. After escaping, Sister Zhen was undoubtedly very excited. She hummed a song and swaggered forward like a young girl in love. Now, she slowed down because she believed that the people from the Lei Gong's Grand Hall wouldn't be able to catch up with her. The sneak attack on Lei Gong just now was too satisfying. That damned old man, I've long disliked him. He was so unfair to me. Humph, if he hadn't committed suicide, would have attacked him again. However, the land of the 9 states can't hold me now. Eugene and the other cowards don't dare to protect me. Therefore, I'd better go find the Spirit Nation. I believe that with my strength, the Spirit Nation will definitely welcome me. Lin Ling, there's always a way out. You want to kill me? Dream on. The more Sister Zhen thought about it, the more relaxed she became. She hummed even louder. However, this song was clearly going to end soon. Because the moment she turned around, the scene in front of her suddenly changed. It was no longer the land of the 9 states. Instead, there was a large number of people standing in front of her. The person in the lead was looking at her with a cold gaze. He was Lin Ling. Lin Ling. Fake, how can this be? This is fake. Chapter 43:59. This time, I should be able to escape. She kept panting as she looked ahead. However, she was shocked when she saw what was in front of her. That was because there was a group of people in Lei Gong's palace in front of her. They were led by Lin Ling. No, this is fake. With my speed, I can escape from the east border to the north border. How could they have been waiting here for so long? Sister Zhen's heart felt as if it had been struck by lightning. She gritted her teeth and immediately ran away madly. How could this be? After a long time, when she thought that she had finally escaped the great calamity, a large number of experts appeared in front of her eyes. Ah! Sister Zhen's face twisted as she spat out a mouthful of blood. This was because she had continuously used up her realm essence and was shocked. That was because everything was too terrifying. She had clearly escaped tens of thousands of miles away, but she still couldn't escape from Lin Ling and the others' pursuit. How could she believe this? Could this be an illusion? Sister Zhen suppressed the fear in her heart and comforted herself. That was because everything was too unbelievable. In her opinion, it was also impossible. Sister Zhen, you have nowhere to run. However, at that moment, a loud roar suddenly sounded like thunder. It made Sister Zhen's body tremble as she spat out another mouthful of blood. No, 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 this is fake. Blood kept flowing out of the corner of Sister Zhen's mouth. This feeling was even more terrifying than being beaten up. That was because she had seen the hope of escaping time and time again, but her hope had been extinguished time and time again. No matter how strong her mentality was, she couldn't hold on any longer. Sister Zhen, open your eyes wide and look at where you are. At that moment, Lin Ling's voice sounded again. It shook the entire void. Then, the scene around her quietly disappeared. When everything returned to normal, Sister Zhen saw that she was still in Lei Gong's palace. She had used all her strength to escape, but in reality, she hadn't even taken a step away. This was like a nightmare to her. Pfft. She stared at Lin Ling and the others. Then, she looked at the familiar void and spat out another mouthful of blood. Her face was pale and bloodless. Lin Ling, it's you. It's all because of you. You're playing me. Sister Zhen looked at Lin Ling with a ferocious expression. She gritted her teeth and roared. She knew very well that only Lin Ling had the strength to toy with her in the palm of his hand. Moreover, when she thought of how proud and arrogant she was before, she immediately felt like vomiting blood. Run! Let's see where you can run to. At this moment, Lin Ling retracted his formation and looked at Sister Zhen coldly. However, Sister Zhen also knew that with her current weakness, even if Lin Ling allowed her to escape, she probably wouldn't be able to. Look who he is. Lin Ling waved his right hand, and a pillar floated over from afar. A skeleton was tied to the pillar, and there was not a single piece of intact flesh on the body. Even the skeleton was covered in wounds. However, Sister Zhen could tell who this person was from the head of the skeleton. Who else could it be but Zhong Shan? Boom! Subconsciously, Sister Zhen shuddered. She knew that Zhong Shan's fate was the same as hers. Of course, she never thought that Zhong Shan would end up in such a miserable state. He was completely tortured. Lin Ling, you've gone too far. Looking away, Sister Zhen looked at Lin Ling in fear and said, You're a devil. Zhong Shan is your senior brother. How dare you treat him like this? Also, ever since you came to the Lei Gong Grand Hall, our originally peaceful Lei Gong Grand Hall has been filled with twists and turns. Now, even Lei Gong is dead. In my opinion, this is all because of you, you jinx. Sister Zhen looked at Lin Ling and shouted angrily. She was different from Zhong Shan. She knew very well that begging for mercy was useless in front of Lin Ling. Therefore, she wanted to deprive Lin Ling of his rights in Lei Gong. This way, Lin Ling would not be able to do anything to her. Everyone, don't believe him. He has been eyeing Lord Lei Gong's position for a long time. This time, everything was just part of his plan. Big Sister Zhen kept roaring. In the end, she almost believed what she said. However, even if she believed what she thought, it did not mean that Lord Lei Gong Grand Hall would believe her. Therefore, not only did people ignore her, but they also looked at her with more resentment. That was because Sister Zhen was too shameless. Not only did she sneak attack Lei Gong, she even wanted to slander Lin Ling. When Eugene and the others attacked, Lin Ling was the only one who contributed the most in the entire Lei Gong Grand Hall. He even killed a large number of experts. So, did Sister Zhen think they were idiots? Say it. I'll give you a chance to say it. Let's see if you can change your fate and survive from my hands. Lin Ling, on the other hand, was no longer in a hurry. Bastard! Sister Zhen cursed in her heart when she heard Lin Ling's words. She suddenly looked at Lei Gong and said with a smile, Young Lin, you're the strongest person in Lei Gong Grand Hall and have followed Lord Lei Gong for so long. However, in the end, Lord Lei Gong handed over Lord Lei Gong Grand Hall to Lin Ling. You, on the other hand, didn't get anything. Are you convinced? Moreover, Lin Ling may not be your opponent now, but he will surpass you in time. Are you willing to accept that? It was obvious that Sister Zhen was very cunning and knew how to drive a wedge between them. And Xingyi, you were personally brought back by Lord Lei Gong. I know you treat Lord Lei Gong like a father, but now, your father's great undertaking has been passed to Lin Ling. Don't you feel wronged? Sister Zhen looked at Xingyi and said, in my opinion, you're the most qualified person to become the master of Lei Gong Grand Hall. I'm convinced by Lin Ling. However, Xingyi finally spoke after Sister Zhen finished speaking. His voice was crisp and clear without any hesitation. After he was crippled, everyone laughed at him and looked down on him. Only Lin Ling remained the same and even helped him. Moreover, he helped Lei Gong not because of the Lei Gong Grand Hall, but because of their friendship. Now that Lei Gong had passed the Lei Gong Grand Hall to Lin Ling, he had no choice but to accept it. If there was anyone who was unconvinced, even if there were others who were unconvinced, he would be the first to challenge them. I'm convinced by Lin Ling as well. At this moment, young Qilin spoke, I know what you want to say and do, but I'm sorry to tell you that Lin Ling is indeed stronger than me. The Lei Gong Grand Hall can only be brought to greater heights by him. You. Hearing this, Sister Zhen was so angry that she spat out another mouthful of blood. She thought that the baby Qilin would be secretly dissatisfied with Lin Ling, but who knew that the baby Qilin would directly admit defeat when facing Lin Ling? If that was the case, what was the use of her trying to drive a wedge between them? She really couldn't understand how a mere Lin Ling was qualified to unify the entire Thunder God Great Hall, and no one had any objections. Chapter 4360. Sister Zhen, what else do you have to say? Sister. At this moment, Lin Ling finally looked at Sister Zhen. Under his loud shout, Sister Zhen fell to the ground with a plop. Then, she was so frightened that her snot and tears flowed out. She lost control of her body. This was because she knew that she had nowhere to run. When she thought of Lin Ling's revenge, she felt as if her whole world had collapsed. Lin Ling, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Moreover, I didn't kill Lei Gong. At this moment, she no longer had a strong backbone. She was begging for mercy. I know. That's why I won't kill you. Just like how I treated Zhong Shan, I will never kill you. The tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. However, his words made Sister Zhen look at the tied-up Zhong Shan. Her body trembled again because she knew very well that Zhong Shan must have endured countless tortures to end up like this. Ha ha ha, Sister Zhen, you want to escape? Dream on. You'd better suffer with me. Suddenly, Zhong Shan's weak voice floated over. It carried a hint of madness. He had obviously been tortured to the point of insanity. Ha 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 ha. Zhong Shan's laughter resounded throughout the entire void. Hearing that laughter, Sister Zhen's body went completely limp. She lay on the ground, motionless. Men, tie her up. Seeing this, Lin Ling shouted angrily. Immediately, someone tied Sister Zhen to a pillar. Everyone looked at Sister Zhen with eyes full of anger. They all remembered how Sister Zhen had sneak-attacked Lei Gong not long ago. Today, they wanted to return that attack to Sister Zhen. Moreover, everyone had to return the attack. Lin Ling was naturally the first to act. With a single slash, he cut off a large amount of Sister Zhen's flesh. Then, he turned around and left. Ah! Sister Zhen's painful voice echoed throughout the void. Her voice was as sharp as a ghost's cry. She wanted to resist with all her might, but there was nothing she could do. She could only look at the people who were staring at her covetously. She never expected that she, a former Lei Gong trial taker, would end up like this. Ah! When Lin Ling left, Sister Zhen's pained voice kept drifting out. However, Lin Ling was no longer paying attention to him. He looked into the distance as though he could see Lei Gong disappear. This made him clench his fists quietly. Because his respected Lord Lei Gong had been forced to his death right in front of him. This enmity, this humiliation, Lin Ling would never forget. Lin Ling knew very well that if it weren't for Yushan and Titanic Crescent God, the Lightning God wouldn't have died. Lord Lei Gong, I'm sorry. I, Lin Ling, am not you. I can't let my family and friends die for the sake of the world. Therefore, I will avenge your death no matter what. I also know that you are not willing to die here. You just don't want to be implicated too much. They're just people. Eugene, Titanic Crescent God, I will definitely take revenge on them. Lin Ling muttered to himself, and his voice carried a wisp of surging killing intent. He was not like Lei Gong. He did not care about the God realm or the void of the 9 continents. He only cared about the people around him. The people he wanted to protect would always be the people around him. Lin Ling, I'm afraid this is a scheme of the Spirit Nation. At this time, Nanwu Fenyu walked over and said. Lin Ling nodded. He even knew that Eugene and the others knew about the 8 Gods' diary. This was what Luli Empress told them. Therefore, Luli Empress was also Lin Ling's primary enemy. The Spirit Nation is too big. I, Lin Ling, cannot touch them at the moment. However, I must kill Luli Empress with my own hands. Lin Ling said word by word. Although he knew that Luli Empress was now a member of the Spirit Nation, even if he told this to Eugene, Eugene might not believe him. Instead, they would think that Lin Ling was looking for an opportunity to attack Luli Empress. Now that Lei Gong has fallen, the void of the 9 continents has lost one of its pillars. The Spirit Nation, which has been hiding in the shadows, is ready to make a move. Therefore, to prevent any trouble from happening to the Grand Hall of Lei Gong, we must find a safer and more hidden place. Suppressing his killing intent, Lin Ling looked into the distance and said. This was because more than half of the Grand Hall of Lei Gong had died. If the Spirit Nation wanted to attack the void of the 9 continents, they would definitely attack the Grand Hall of Lei Gong first. That's right. If we hide, the Spirit Nation can only attack the other gods. Nanwu Fenyu nodded immediately. This void is not bad. Lin Ling, let's rest here for the time being. At this time, Emperor God Zhang Gang and Giant Ghost walked over. Emperor God Zhang Gang said. Lin Ling nodded and smiled at them, thank you for your help in this matter. He was very clear that regardless of whether he was the master of the Grand Hall of Lei Gong, without the help of Nanwu Fenyu and the others, the Grand Hall of Lei Gong would definitely be the weakest among the 4 gods. Although this void is not bad, there is no spiritual chi here. It's not suitable for martial artists to cultivate. Oh right, I've obtained quite a number of God springs. If I can obtain 999 of them, I can set up the 9-9 return to 1 array formation and use the spirit to nurture the spirit. Suddenly, Lin Ling thought of an ancient array formation. If he could set it up in this void, it could also allow the spiritual chi in a certain area to be comparable to the void of the 9 continents. I've obtained quite a number of God springs from Emperor Thunder God Monarch. Lin Ling quickly checked and found out that the number of God springs was still lacking. He had to think of a way to obtain 999 of them. Of course, although the number of God springs was not enough, it was still enough to nourish a small area with spiritual chi. Thinking of this, Lin Ling immediately decided to set up the array formation. Then, he looked at the void and saw 2 huge pillars. Their bodies had turned into skeletons, but their heads were intact. They were Sister Zhen and Zhong Shan. Now, they were not dead, but they were suffering inhumane torture. Moreover, maggots had appeared on their bodies. As long as they grew a piece of flesh, the maggots would devour them crazily, making Sister Zhen and Zhong Shan beg for death. This punishment is enough to appease the Thunder God and allow the Thunder God Hall to vent their anger. Lin Ling nodded secretly. This was the first thing he did for Lei Gong after he became the master of Lei Gong's Great Hall. Lord Lei Gong. At this moment, the experts in Lei Gong's Great Hall flew over and bowed respectfully to Lin Ling. Although their reverence was not as sincere as when they faced Lei Gong, it was almost the same. This showed that the people in Lei Gong's great hall were completely convinced by Lin Ling. Lin Ling smiled and nodded at the crowd. Chapter 4361. Lord Lei Gong, if there's anything you need our help with, feel free to ask. An old man said to Lin Ling as he clasped his hands and bowed. Good. Help me bring these divine springs to the Qian position. Arrange them according to my method. Remember, no matter what, you cannot make a mistake in the spirit formation I taught you. Don't worry, Lord Lei Gong. Although my spirit formation Tao cannot be compared to Miao Shen's true teachings, it's not like I don't know anything. That's good. As for you, go to the Qian position and arrange these divine springs. Lin Ling continued to instruct as he watched the crowd leave. Then, with a wave of his right hand, he sprinkled the rest of the divine spring. His powerful soul power shrouded a part of the void. Finally, after choosing a good realm, he immediately set up a boundary array in that realm. This void was the battlefield for the 8 gods' heavenly palaces quota. It was very large, but there was no spiritual energy, so it was not suitable for cultivators to cultivate. Lin Ling knew very well why it was like that. It was because there was no great Tao of laws here. As for the great ways of the natural laws, even the thunder god was unable to create them, much less Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling was able to use the spirit formation to allow a certain realm to be filled with spiritual energy. Thus, as long as Lin Ling concealed the void, other than his own people, no one else would be able to find it. This void was an extremely precious place to hide. I'm afraid the origin of this void is not ordinary. Treasure god Nanwu Fengyu exclaimed as he looked into the distance. Such a large void was clearly not just born. It should have been born many years ago. It was likely that Lord Lei Gong had accidentally obtained it, or it could have been gifted to Lei Gong by an expert. After the spirit formation is arranged, I'll bring everyone here. Lin Ling continued to set up the array formation as he thought to himself. Time quietly passed. Spring went and autumn came. Flowers bloomed and withered. Unknowingly, 3 years had passed. At this moment, in a vast realm in the void, a large number of prosperous buildings were located on an ancient land. Looking along the horizon, this continent was also extremely prosperous. The population had reached hundreds of millions, and the experts were as numerous as clouds. In the distance, a large number of buildings were being built. All of this symbolized that this realm was flourishing and growing continuously. What rich spiritual energy! The cultivators in this realm were very satisfied with the density of the spiritual qi here. Although the spiritual qi here was the same as the void of the 9 continents, it was purer. I've heard that this is a great array set up by Lord Lei Gong. It uses the divine spring to nourish the divine spring, so as long as the great array is not destroyed, the spiritual energy will never stop. That's nothing. Right now, there are already 900 divine springs scattered throughout the entire void. There are still 99 more to complete. At that time, the spiritual qi of the great array will more than double. This is really a paradise. However, it's not a place where ordinary people can come. Other than Lei Gong's great hall, those who are familiar with this place can only enter with a guarantee. Moreover, after being recognized by this void, we can freely enter and exit the void of the 9 continents, but others can't. When the experts of the spirit nation arrive, we can also hide here and be safe. That's right. The cultivators in the realm chatted excitedly. Boom! On this day, a roar sounded, and the entire void shook. Then, an endless amount of spiritual qi sprinkled down like rain, landing on the realm, causing countless people to feel relaxed and happy. So beautiful. Some women raised their heads and looked at the meteor shower with excitement in their eyes. Ling Er's great array has finally come to an end. Looking at the meteor shower in the sky, Ancestor Tai Yen, Yu, and the others smiled. During this period of time, although Lin Ling was setting up the great array, he often accompanied them. Therefore, they all knew that the moment the array was completed would be in the next few days. Now that they saw the meteor shower, they immediately knew that the array was completed. If they could find the remaining 99 divine springs, the array would be able to reach its limit. Lin Ling is here. At this time, someone looked at the sky and saw a slender figure with a smile on his face walking down step by step. Lord Lin Ling. At this moment, many people in the continent cupped their hands and bowed. They looked at the man as if they were looking at a god. These people were all from the God Slayer Alliance. Now that the God Slayer Alliance had joined Lei Gong's Great Hall, the severely damaged Lei Gong's Great Hall had finally recovered a portion of its strength. Lord Lei Gong. In a distant place, the experts of Lei Gong's Great Hall had all arrived and bowed to Lin Ling. Lin Ling, this great array is not bad. Young Qilin led Xingyi and the others over. Of course, they also bowed to Lin Ling before speaking with a smile. Although they had a good relationship with Lin Ling, they couldn't ignore etiquette. After all, Lin Ling was their Lei Gong. Looking at everyone, Lin Ling smiled slightly. A sense of pride and accomplishment quietly rose in his heart. This was because he was no longer the same person as before. He was one of the 4 great gods of the 9 prefectures void, one of the 4 strongest kings of the 9 prefectures void. Thinking back to the day when he first came to the 9 prefectures, he never imagined that such a day would come. Brother Ling. At this time, Yu and the others rushed over and held Lin Ling's hand with a smile. Is everyone alright? Lin Ling also asked if something big had happened at home. Second brother, it's very difficult to enter this void unless you're recognized. Thus, up until now, other than our own people, the other gods and people of the spirit nation have not been able to enter this place. Sakura immediately smiled. He and many leaders of the God Slayer Alliance were the guardians of the void. They knew the current situation of the void. I remember half a year ago, there were people who wanted to enter this place, but in the end, they all failed. They could only leave with their tails between their legs. When they ran away, they even said that this spirit formation didn't exist in this world. Young Beast Lord said with a smile. Of course. Lin Ling nodded. His current Tao of spirit formations all came from the inheritance treasures of the gods. Back then, he had used the Tao of spirit formations to guide the great snow barrier deity of God Miao's true inheritance. Thus, he naturally knew that people from God Miao's true inheritance would not be able to break the barrier of the void. Lin Ling, is the array done? Chapter 4362. After entering, it would be impossible to remain undetected because they would only appear at the same location. At that time, Sakura and the others would be able to check if they were spies. Lin Ling, we found the divine spring. It's said that there are about 100 of them. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others went out for the divine spring. 100 of them. Lin Ling knew very well that even though the formation had taken shape, if he wanted to unleash its full potential, he needed 999 divine springs. Now, he was still short of 99 divine springs. Furthermore, as long as there were enough pillars, the 9x9-to-1 formation could be combined with the universal Qingtian formation to form the 9x9 universal Qingtian formation. There would be a total of 99 pillars in the south, and it would be much easier to trap the gods. Then there's no time to lose. Let's go. Lin Ling nodded. Currently, he needed divine springs for his cultivation and grand spirit formations. Thus, he was eager to find even more divine springs. Of course, after becoming a lower god, the energy needed to break through was too much. So Lin Ling planned to set up the formation first to solve his worries. Okay. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others nodded. Lin Ling bid farewell to everyone and left with Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others. Everyone watched Lin Ling and the others leave and smiled. They weren't worried about their trip because they knew that they were the strongest in Lei Gong's hall. Even if the Titanic Crescent God was here, he wouldn't be able to defeat them. Grandpa Treasure God, did anything happen in the 9-province void in the past 3 years? After leaving the void, Lin Ling and the others appeared in Lei Gong's hall again. However, the hall was now empty with barriers everywhere. It was difficult for outsiders to get close. Nothing in the short term, but the Spirit Nation seems to be restless. Someone said that they saw experts from the Spirit Nation in the north. Also, Taoist Myriad Treasures has appeared. He's the one who spread the news about the Divine Spring. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and Emperor God Zhang Gang said. Taoist Myriad Treasures. Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes lit up. Taoist Master of Myriad Treasures was the host of the world's will, and not many people knew about this. Moreover, Taoist Master of Myriad Treasures had the key to the final floor of the 8 Gods' heavenly palace, so Taoist Master of Myriad Treasures definitely couldn't miss this opportunity. I was just looking for him. Lin Ling couldn't help but smile. He also knew that it would be very difficult for him to break through by relying on the treasures in the void of the 9 prefectures. Moreover, the Taoist of many treasures had always been mysterious, so he might know some secret realms. Where is he? Lin Ling hurriedly looked at Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and said. That old fox is very cunning. Although he hid very well, the news was still leaked. He is now in Qing province. God Emperor Zhang Gang immediately laughed mischievously. It was as if he knew about Taoist Myriad Treasures and was very pleased with himself. This was because he knew that Taoist Master of Many Treasures was a figure from the ancient era, and he was even older than God Emperor Zhang Gang. Sometimes, the news might not be leaked. That old fox is able to move between the 4 great gods and the Spirit Nation. He is not as simple as we think. However, Lin Ling had the opposite view. This was because no matter how fierce the battle between the Spirit Nation and the 4 great gods was, Taoist Master of Many Treasures would disappear without a trace. It was as if he was dead, and no expert could find him. When he was about to appear, everyone in the 9 prefectures would receive the news. It gave people the feeling that he was deliberately letting others know about his whereabouts. Now that you mention it, I feel that it is indeed so. If not for the news being leaked, we might not have known about Taoist Master of Many Treasures' whereabouts. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu nodded. Moreover, his appearance seems to be premeditated. For example, when he announced the map of the 7th level of the 8 Gods' heavenly palace, and this time, I feel that he is adding fuel to the fire. Lin Ling guessed again. I can only say that he is also a host body of the world will. Although the host bodies of the world will are one, they do not get along and want to devour each other. Therefore, other than treating the 9 prefectures as his enemy, perhaps the Spirit Nation is also his enemy. His goal might be for us to fight to the death with the Spirit Nation. I will live while he reaps the benefits of the fisherman. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu lightly said. We have arrived at the Azure province. At this time, the giant ghost's voice suddenly came. An ancient and vast continent appeared in front of them. It was packed with people and seemed to be thriving. The Azure province was also the place Lin Ling went to when he first came to the 9 prefectures. Back then, the Azure Emperor, the 3rd Princess, the Martial God Camp, and many other places had Lin Ling's memories. The Azure province is truly a good place. Lin Ling couldn't help but chuckle. His powerful soul force spread out and enveloped the entire Azure province, quietly investigating everything. Although there aren't many experts, it's not as few as I thought. It seems like they are here for the Myriad Treasures Sage. Then, Lin Ling withdrew his soul force. With his current powerful soul force, he could easily find out how many experts there were in the Azure province. Unless the opponent was very strong and had a special method to conceal Lin Ling's soul force. Follow me, I have found the myriad treasures sage. Then, Lin Ling said to treasure god Nanwu Fengyu and the others. With that, he strode into the Azure province. Someone is coming. At this moment, in a restaurant, a dirty and sloppy old man faintly smiled. Then, he poured himself a cup of wine and began to drink. That guy should be the new Lei Gong Lin Ling. I didn't expect my prediction back then to be correct. This person has risen in such a short time and is now an existence that cannot be underestimated in the 9 prefectures void. In the future, he will definitely be the #1 enemy of the world will. The old man faintly muttered to himself, then revealed a cold smile. And he was the myriad treasures sage. Moreover, he sensed that many experts were heading towards the restaurant he was in. At this moment, Lin Ling also rushed over with treasure god Nanwu Fengyu and the others. Along the way, Lin Ling also notified the third princess and the others. After a short greeting, they soon arrived at the restaurant where the myriad treasure sage was. There are quite a lot of people. Before entering, Lin Ling sensed that there were many experts in the restaurant. These experts were all in the god realm. After Lei Gong's death, the number of experts hiding in the void seems to have increased by quite a lot. Even treasure god Nanwu Fengyu sensed it, but he was not afraid. This was because the 4 of them were so strong that even Eugene and the others could contend with them. Let's go in. The giant ghost took the lead and stepped into the restaurant. However, at this moment, an invisible shockwave hit him in the face. It was a powerful divine power, like a membrane that blocked outsiders outside the door. Moreover, this shockwave was also malicious. It rushed into the giant ghost's body in an attempt to discover its origin. Chapter 4363. Puchi. In the hall on the first floor, a skinny old man immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, then looked at the giant ghost in anger. He had only checked a little, but the giant ghost had dared to injure him. The others on the first floor were used to it. They drank and ate as if they were ordinary people. However, although they acted ordinary, they were all extremely powerful. They were all godly kings. Therefore, their eyes flashed. The barrier was used to prevent ordinary people from entering. Those who could enter were not weak. They were qualified to meet the sage of myriad treasures. The 4 people outside were obviously not weak. They were qualified. I wonder who those 4 people are. They can't be weak to be able to force the old man back. Now, in the void of the 9 regions, after the fall of the thunder god, many experts are like carps in a river. Especially after the investiture of the gods in the 9 regions, many people have returned to their divine positions. In addition to these years of cultivation, their strength is no longer the same as it was in the past. Now that they have succeeded in their cultivation, their strength has greatly increased. Yes. That's possible. Yes. These experts who were familiar with each other quietly discussed. Lin Ling and the others stepped into the inn. The giant ghost's face was fierce as he stared at the skinny old man who had spat out blood. Not only did the old man try to stop him, he even tried to see through the giant ghost's origins. One had to know that the giant ghost was one of the 8 god wills. This was a secret, but the old man did not know etiquette and casually checked. Yo, who are you? So arrogant that you dare to injure my people. Yes. Suddenly, a chuckle could be heard. In the corner, a man in a green robe was playing with a wine cup as he spoke. Don't you know that you have to apologize to those who touch my Xiao Taishan? Yes. Then, the young man took a sip of wine and muttered to himself. Apologize? Yes. Hearing this, the giant ghost laughed. Treasure god Nanwu Fengyu and Emperor god Zhang Gang laughed as well. Although they sensed that the young man had a mysterious aura, perhaps he had a powerful background. However, even if he had a powerful background, he would have to lower his noble head in front of them. What? I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. Noticing the smiles on their faces, the young man stopped drinking and looked over. Giant Ghost and the others noticed that the young man's left and right eyes were different colors. One was red and the other was green. Of course, this only caused the Giant Ghost and the others to be slightly surprised. Lin Ling didn't even look at the young man. Instead, he quietly locked onto two people. They were a man and a woman in a corner on the other side. Although these two people were wearing ordinary clothes, Lin Ling still felt a sense of familiarity. Moreover, he instantly guessed that these two people were the ones he met in the 8th district. On the 7th floor of Divine Heaven Palace, treasure god Nanwu Fengyu fought against the two experts from the underworld. Grandpa Treasure God. Lin Ling immediately sent a voice transmission. It's them. Treasure god Nanwu Fengyu also noticed this and was startled. He didn't expect that Taoist Myriad Treasure's appearance would attract the attention of these two experts. In the previous battle, although treasure god Nanwu Fengyu easily suppressed these two people, he also knew that these two people had just arrived in the void of the 9 continents and couldn't use many of their powers. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so simple. Of course, when Lin Ling and the others were secretly investigating these two people, they were very powerful and also noticed Lin Ling and the others. Now, these two people's appearances had changed, as if they had taken over other people's bodies. It's them. They were also secretly transmitting their voices. That brat made me suffer a great loss in the past. However, it seems like his strength has increased. After all, he was only a martial god when he was in the 8 gods' heavenly palace. Now, he has divine origin. The man said indifferently, but then he shook his head, but that's all. Now, I'm not the same as before. The power I can summon from the underworld has increased. Let's wait until the matter with Taoist Myriad Treasure is over. Next to him, the woman nodded. They all chose to pretend that they didn't know Lin Ling and the others. Lin Ling and treasure god Nanwu Fengyu noticed that they were playing dumb. Naturally, it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble, so they ignored them. On the other hand, the giant ghost walked step by step toward the young man in green, then came to the injured skinny old man and smashed the 8 god steel in his hand. Boom! The skinny old man's pupils constricted. Obviously, he didn't expect the giant ghost to be so arrogant, daring to attack in front of his master. He wanted to resist, but in the end, he was no match for the giant ghost. His head was smashed by the steel, then he spat out blood and fainted. Moreover, this smash seemed very calm, and the restaurant didn't shake at all. Even so, everyone's eyes flickered as they looked at the giant ghost. Obviously, they were shocked by the giant ghost's strength. I'll kill him right now. What, you're not convinced? The giant ghost carried the steel on his shoulder and looked provocatively at the young man in green, as if he didn't care at all. The young man raised his eyes and looked indifferently at the giant ghost. Some things can't be done, or you'll regret it. Clearly, you've done something that you'll regret for the rest of your life. Is that so? I want to know what I'll regret. The giant ghost looked straight at him. He could sense the mystery of the other party, but he wasn't afraid at all. Crown Prince, there's no need to say anything to him. Just attack. At this moment, at a table next to the young man in green, an old man said indifferently. He played with a wine cup in his hand, and golden light bloomed in his eyes. The dignity of my clan cannot be bullied. His voice was filled with thick arrogance, and he was very high up. 3 breaths left. If you cut off one of your arms, you'll still have a chance to live. After drinking the wine in his hand, the old man spoke again. Looking at the young man in green, he sneered because he knew who the old man was. With him speaking, there were very few people in the 9 states who could resist him. 1, 2, 3. However, at this moment, the giant ghost had already counted. He was counting for the old man, and then he said, "Okay, it's over." What now? You're courting death. The old man obviously didn't expect that the Yiksha-like guy would dare to slap him in the face. He felt so ashamed that he couldn't show his face. Uncle Dragon, let me. The young man in green roared angrily and shot out. His speed was incomparably fast. In mid-air, a dragon claw appeared and grabbed at the giant ghost. Dragon Clan. This was a real dragon, and his strength was at the deity realm. The eyes of the people on the first floor narrowed. Although they knew that the young man in green was very strong, they didn't expect him to be from the Dragon Clan. Chapter 43-64. This was because the Dragon Clan was the most mysterious in the 9 prefectures. They were like an ancient divine gate that was isolated from the world. People had only heard of them but had never seen them. Now, someone from this legendary colossus had finally entered the world. Do you regret it now? Alas, why bother? We didn't want to reveal our identities, but you forced us. Now that you know who we are, don't you feel terrified and afraid? The green-clothed young man smiled proudly and slapped his dragon claw at the giant ghost. Rumble. However, the giant ghost held the 8-god steel with both hands and swept it fiercely. Swoosh! The restaurant shook slightly. On the surface, the momentum wasn't terrifying, but the two of them didn't want to disturb Daoist myriad treasures and prevent their power from leaking out. Moreover, it looked like the impetus wasn't great on the surface, but in reality, everyone in the hall on the first floor noticed a terrifying gale assault their faces. If it wasn't for them urging divine essence to protect their bodies, they would have probably been torn into pieces long ago. So strong. Who are you? The green-clothed young man wanted to suppress the giant ghost with one move, but he realized that this ferocious-looking fellow wasn't weak at all. Crown Prince, let me help you. When the old man saw this, his figure disappeared and suddenly appeared behind the giant ghost and slashed out with his dragon claw. If one looked carefully, he had transformed into an ancient golden dragon that was as thick as a water bucket. He was dazzling with golden light and was very dignified. His dragon claw seemed to be made of gold and was extremely hard. The Dragon Clan had countless dragon gods, but they were also divided into ranks. For example, the Dragon God bloodline and the Collateral bloodline. The Dragon God bloodline was also divided into 3 and 6 ranks. Obviously, these two people had a high status in the Dragon Clan. Slap. However, when the golden dragon's claw was about to grab the giant ghost, a palm suddenly grabbed and blocked the dragon's claw. It was Lin Ling. Moreover, Lin Ling knew that this old man was strong, so he used the second stage of his innate talent fusion. After the second stage, Lin Ling easily blocked the golden dragon's attack and was even stronger. Who are you? The golden dragon let out a low voice that was mixed with shock. This was because he had never expected that the two people he had casually met would be so powerful. Could it be that the current Jojo void was filled with deities? His divine energy is so dense. It doesn't seem like the strength of an early-stage low god at all. Moreover, his fleshly body strength and divine energy are much stronger than before. Could he be the reincarnation of something? How could his strength increase so much in such a short period of time? The man and woman in the corner were also surprised, because last time in the 8 gods' heavenly palace, Lin Ling was not this strong. I'm your father. At this time, Lin Ling held the dragon claw in one hand, and the power of 800,000 worlds and 4,000 strands of divinity were activated at the same time. Ka ka ka. Cracks started to appear on the golden dragon's claws, and the golden dragon was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat because he finally understood how powerful Lin Ling was. Crack. A crisp sound rang out. The golden dragon's claw was torn off by Lin Ling, and golden blood splattered all over the ground. Ah! The golden dragon god, who was in midair, fell to the ground with a plop. Then, his whole body shone with golden light, and he turned into a human again. However, this time, he was holding his broken arm, and his face was as pale as paper. His angry eyes were fixed on Lin Ling. This was because not long ago, he said that he would cut off one of the giant ghost's arms, but in the blink of an eye, he had lost one of his arms. Moreover, it was done by a domineering method. Of course, he was not the only one who was surprised. The people around him were also shocked. This was because every person who could appear here was a deity, and every one of them had a supreme status. However, such a deity had lost an arm just like that. It was too unbelievable. If someone had said this to them not long ago, they would have thought it was a joke. How could a deity be crippled so easily? But now, they believed it. Boom! The young man in green was also shocked. In the end, he was hit in the face by the giant ghost stone tablet, and he fell to the ground. Do you know who we are? The two of them raised their heads and spoke at the same time. In the corners of the restaurant, many powerhouses stood up. These people were obviously with the young man in green. Moreover, their bodies were full of dragon's aura, and they were ready to help. Do you know who you're dealing with? The old man shouted angrily. Rebellion, rebellion. Mere humans dared to attack the noble dragon god. This was definitely rebellion. Hee, the dragon race isn't that great, is it? Lin Ling looked down at them with a disdainful smile in his eyes. When the giant ghost had entered the inn, it was these people from the dragon race who had attacked first. Of course, it was fine if they had attacked, but they had domineeringly investigated the giant ghost's origin. This was obviously a violation of the rules between cultivators. However, at that time, Lin Ling's eyes had fallen on the man and woman in the corner, so he had ignored them for the time being. Now, they had the nerve to say that they were from the dragon race. Was the dragon race that great? He, Lin Ling, had seen the dragon race several times. He had even seen the dragon god in the Dragon Valley. Of course, to Lin Ling, he had seen the more terrifying ancient dragon god, the Dragon King of the East Sea. Therefore, these dragon gods from the era of the gods were nothing. Stop blabbering, you talk too much. I'll pull out your dragon tendons. Lin Ling did not waste any more words and pounced on the young man in green. The latter was stunned and roared, "You dare! Lin Ling, I'll help you." Unfortunately, not only did Lin Ling not dare to do anything, the giant ghost also rushed over. The two of them pressed down on the young man in green. The latter reverted to his dragon form, but he could not change his size. He could only become as thick as a water bucket and was ridden by Lin Ling and the old man. Meanwhile, Lin Ling violently opened the green dragon's mouth and continuously pulled out the dragon's tongue. He pulled out the dragon's tongue. These two guys. Seeing this scene, the people who were originally shocked were now as shocked as the gods. Despite their vast experience, this was the first time they saw a dragon god being pulled out by someone. How dare you, we are the dragon race's dragon gods. You're dead, you're dead. The old man at the side struggled to get up, but a foot suddenly stomped on him, pushing him back to the ground. The one standing on top of him was none other than treasure god Nanwufengyu. Xiaolong, lie down obediently, this has nothing to do with you. Treasure god Nanwufengyu said with a beaming face. Although it seemed like a casual action, it was enough to stop the old man from moving. Who the hell are you people? At this time, the old man finally realized that he had kicked an iron plate, because among the 4 people, 3 of them were abnormally strong. How could there be so many powerful people in the 9 continents void? You don't need to know who we are, but his name is Lin Ling. Treasure god Nanwufengyu did not hide anything, pointing at Lin Ling who was pulling out dragon tendons. Lin Ling, he's Lin Ling. The old man's pupils constricted. The faces of the experts on the first floor changed dramatically. Chapter 4365. He was one of the 4 great gods in the void of the 9 continents. During the Great War of the Gods 3 years ago, this ferocious new god had killed countless gods in the void. He was so powerful that people would pale at the mere mention of his name. Even the other gods did not dare to provoke him easily. Not to mention the 9 continents void, even in the spirit kingdom, Lin Ling was the #1 enemy of the spirit kingdom. Now, this legendary figure had actually appeared before their eyes. No wonder these 2 fellows were so fierce, daring to ride the dragon god and angrily pulling out dragon tendons. Ah ah ah. As for the young man who seemed to be the dragon race's crown prince, he was screaming in pain. Lin Ling had forcefully pulled out his dragon head and tongue, causing him to cry from the pain. So noisy. Moreover, Lin Ling found him annoying, so he ruthlessly punched his dragon head a few times. The young man was dizzy, his face was red, and he almost fainted. However, while the young man was in pain, his heart was also filled with shock. Lei Gong Lin Ling. It was actually Lei Gong Lin Ling. He finally knew why the person on top of him was not afraid of him. You should know someone called Xiao. That fellow is also from the dragon race. He has been arrogant in front of me many times, but I beat him until he takes a detour whenever he sees me. You are not as smart as Xiao, you actually took the initiative to provoke me. Tell me, how should I deal with you? Lin Ling was still riding on the young man's body as he spoke with disdain. I was wrong. The young man was from the dragon race and was arrogant. He was ordered by the dragon race to find the Taoist of many treasures and investigate the whereabouts of the next will of the world. Now that he knew which god was on top of him, he put away his arrogance. Lord Lei Gong, we know we were wrong. The old man looked at Lin Ling pleadingly. Nanwu Fengyu, who was stepping on him, saw this and slowly retracted his foot. The old man quickly got up and kowtowed to Lin Ling, then gave himself 3 hard slaps. Pa pa pa. After 3 slaps, the dragon teeth were sent flying. I was wrong. I hope that for the sake of Lord Dragon God, you will spare us this time. After the fight, the old man said. Lord Dragon God. Lin Ling's eyes flashed when he heard this. He recalled the old dragon god he'd met at the Kaiyuan River all those years ago. At that time, the old dragon god had helped Lin Ling on numerous occasions, so Lin Ling had to give him some face. In truth, Lin Ling had always been giving face to the old dragon god. Otherwise, with Xiao Er's initial provocation, he would have already killed him. Consider yourselves lucky. Lin Ling gave the giant ghost a look, then climbed up from the young man's body. Next, they all walked towards a table and chairs, and the green-clothed young man's follower immediately eagerly served them good wine and food. Shopkeeper, bring up all the delicious food. We want to entertain this lord. Someone even shouted at the restaurant. Right away, right away. The shopkeeper of the restaurant was weak and had long been afraid of this group of people. Now that he heard this, he didn't dare to say anything and immediately busied himself in fear. This is Qingzhou. Remember, Qingzhou is under my protection. If I find out that anyone is causing trouble here, then unless you escape from the void of Zhozhou, you'd better obediently admit your mistakes. If I'm in a good mood, I might spare your worthless lives. Lin Ling said indifferently as he drank. His words were naturally directed at the people on the first floor. This group of people was very powerful. If they attacked in Qingzhou, Qingzhou would definitely be destroyed, and countless people would die. Qingzhou was the 3rd princess territory, and the 3rd princess was Lin Ling's disciple. Naturally, Lin Ling had to protect her. We wouldn't dare, we wouldn't dare. Many people immediately spoke up. In the face of Lei Gong, one of the 4 great gods, even if they were gods, they didn't dare to act recklessly. Many of them were enemies and wanted to attack after seeing Sage Duobao. However, after hearing Lin Ling's words, they didn't dare to fight in Qingzhou. Lin Ling has become more and more powerful. In the corner, there was a mysterious man wearing a large cloak. He was drinking wine indifferently at this moment. Her jade-like hand holding the wine cup was as white as jade, and her red fingernails glowed with an alluring light. Just looking at the sight of her drinking wine was enough to make people's imaginations run wild. However, no one who could enter the hall on the first floor was weak. Therefore, people were only curious about her, but they didn't dare to look at her too much. She knew Lin Ling because she was Longyang's acquaintance, and she knew Lin Ling. During this period of time, Longyang had been hiding. Even when Eugene and the others wanted to harm Lei Gong, she just pretended to follow them and quietly left after going there. This was because she knew that Lin Ling would never agree to harm Lei Gong. And this was indeed the case. After that, she heard about Lin Ling's matter. Fortunately, she wasn't there at that time. Otherwise, she would have been killed by Lin Ling. Now, Lin Ling's strength had surpassed her by more than 2 times. If she wanted to take revenge, the difficulty had undoubtedly increased by several times. After the 9 prefectures' investiture of the gods, the 9 prefectures' void has become hundreds of times stronger than before. However, Lin Ling is clearly not the reincarnation of a god. Yet, he has improved the fastest and his strength has increased the most. This is really puzzling. Longyang secretly said. She knew that Lin Ling and Luli Empress had a grudge against each other. However, the current Luli Empress was probably no match for Lin Ling. This was because she had secretly investigated and found out that Luli Empress had disappeared. It was obvious that she was hiding from Lin Ling. If Luli Empress was killed by Lin Ling, then she might be next. She didn't have much time left. What are you thinking about? We haven't seen each other in a while. Just as she was deep in thought, a faint voice suddenly rang out in front of her. She raised her head and saw that Lin Ling had already appeared at the table with a grin on his face. Bastard, he actually found out about me. Longyang's heart thumped and at the same time, she cursed under her breath. Look at how sneaky you are. You must be hiding from me. Moreover, you didn't participate in the battle of the gods in Lei Gong's great hall. Don't tell me you're afraid that I'll kill you. Lin Ling poured himself a glass of wine and continued to smile. In fact, he didn't hate Longyang. This was because he had gone out with Longyang to train. Longyang had the opportunity to kill him. Although Longyang had considered it for a long time, she didn't make a move in the end. This made Lin Ling very impressed. This was because Longyang was at least a person with principles. Bullshit, who's afraid of you? Since she had been discovered, Longyang no longer hid anything. Chapter 43-66. Lin Ling, don't cross the line. Longyang was so angry that her face turned red. Because Lin Ling's words didn't seem to be referring to her hands, but more like he was talking about her figure. This reminded her of the time when Lin Ling took her for the first time in Spirit Province. She could still remember the storm that night. It was a nightmare of her life. Of course, at the same time as the nightmare, there was also a strange feeling. It was a wonderful feeling. Lin Ling didn't seem to care about Longyang's reprimand, so he said calmly, Longyang, you should know that I'm now Lei Gong. Based on your current state, you have no chance of winning against me. Impossible. Longyang instantly guessed Lin Ling's thoughts. Lin Ling wanted to cancel the death match between the two of them. Was that night really that important? What's important is that you still haven't given up on revenge against me. Lin Ling was a little surprised by Longyang's stubbornness. Although he and Longyang had a grudge, they had also gone through trials and tribulations together. Therefore, Lin Ling was more than happy to cancel the death match. That kind of thing can't be made up for. Between us, it's either you die or I live. Longyang gritted her teeth and said word by word. It's not impossible to make up for it. You're considered a pretty good genius. If you don't mind, you can join our Lei Gong Hall. After you join, our Lei Gong Hall will give you a higher status than Eugene. If you really can't let go of that night, I have a suggestion. Lin Ling toyed with his wine glass, as if he was thinking about something. Long Yang laughed coldly. You want to say, why don't you let me kill you, right? Nonsense, Lin Ling, you underestimate me. If I, Long Yang, want to kill you, I'll win fair and square. I don't need your pity. You're thinking too much. I, Lin Ling, would never actively seek death. My suggestion is, why don't you be stronger and fight me back? Then, we'll be even. Lin Ling immediately said seriously. Dream on. Long Yang was stunned, then she roared. What was the difference? She was the one who was at a disadvantage. When did this Lin Ling become so thick-skinned? Alright, I won't waste time with you. Anyway, I've already given you a chance. If you insist on seeking death in the future, I won't hold back. Also, you don't have to be so afraid of me because before you send out a challenge, Lin Ling won't easily touch you. Seeing Long Yang's furious look, Lin Ling smiled and walked back. Damn it! Lin Ling's repulsive look reminded Long Yang of the madness that night in the Spirit Province. That man was incomparably violent and didn't know how to be gentle with women. No, I have to become stronger. I heard that Taoist Master Duobao knows of a secret realm in the God realm. If I can get the treasure there, I'll have a chance to kill Lin Ling. Long Yang's small hand gripped the wine glass tightly, and the light of ambition bloomed in her eyes. This was the reason she came to find Taoist Master Duobao. Of course, the others were also here for the treasure in the God realm. Now that the 9 prefectures were sealed, there were countless experts. Just when they thought they had established themselves in the 9 prefectures, in reality, in less than a year, there would be experts appearing out of nowhere. Therefore, they all knew that they weren't the only ones who had obtained the opportunity. Therefore, they had to become stronger. In addition, now that the Spirit Nation was eyeing them covetously, whether it was for their family and friends, or for their own survival, they had to become stronger to survive the catastrophe. Looks like everyone is here. Then, it's time. Everyone, come up. At this time, a smiling voice suddenly sounded in everyone's ears. It was Taoist Master Duobao's voice. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and looked up at the second floor. That damned old man, is he finally going to start? Lin Ling drank the wine in his hand and looked at treasure god Nanwu Fenyu. Then, he took the lead and stepped onto the second floor. Seeing this, the others quickly followed. Previously, when Lin Ling didn't move, they didn't dare to move. After all, no one wanted to be above the new Lei Gong. Not to mention other things, just the experts in Lei Gong's hall were enough to kill them all. What a cunning guy. Lin Ling went up the stairs, but his sharp soul power also noticed that the second floor was a little different. It looked like the second floor, but in reality, it was more like a void. It was obvious that Taoist Master Duobao had left a trick up his sleeve. If there was an emergency, he could quickly leave. This was also the reason why so many people were concerned about him, but couldn't catch him. Taoist Master Duobao's previous life was the dragon subduing Arhat. The methods he knows are indeed extraordinary. Lin Ling thought to himself. He controlled the stairs of wisdom and quietly sealed the entire second floor. He wanted to seal Taoist Master Duobao and try to capture him alive. Behind him, treasure god Nanwu Fenyu sensed Lin Ling's move and smiled. He was obviously very curious about Taoist Master Duobao. "Io, Lord Lei Gong, what's wrong with you? Please don't scare an old man like me. This old man can't be scared, and I might be scared to death. I don't care if I die, but I'm afraid I'll delay your important matters." However, just as Lin Ling and the others stepped onto the second floor, a sobbing voice was heard. The Taoist of many treasures was still dressed in tattered clothes. He was sloppily sitting on a chair with his legs crossed. He held a wine cup in one hand and a roasted chicken in the other. He was eating it in big bites. If Lin Ling and the others didn't know about the Taoist of many treasures background, they would have thought that he was an ordinary old beggar. Moreover, Taoist Master Duobao said that he was pitiful, but from his appearance, he didn't seem to care at all. He found out. Lin Ling's expression didn't change, but his heart trembled. As expected of Taoist Master Duobao, he was actually able to detect his steps of wisdom. This also meant that Taoist Master Duobao most likely also had a steps of God, and it wasn't weak. Taoist Master Duobao misunderstood. I was just on guard. After all, you know that there are many people who want me, Lin Ling, to die. There are spirit nations and gods, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Then, Lin Ling said with a fake smile as he quietly retracted the stare of wisdom. Who asked you to be Demon Lin? In the 9 provinces, there's probably no one who wouldn't be shocked by Lord Lei Gong's name. So when I see you, Demon Lin, this old man can't be careless. Taoist Master Duobao was still eating meat as if he didn't care about anything, but Lin Ling knew that the old man must have sensed that he withdrew the steps of wisdom. Moreover, Lin Ling suddenly had a thought. Could it be that the old man had prepared another escape route? Lin Ling couldn't help but look at treasure god Nanwu Fengyu. From his eyes, he could tell that treasure god Nanwu Fengyu didn't have the confidence to capture Taoist Master Duobao alive. Chapter 43-67. Lin Ling only had 2 goals. First, to obtain more divine spring. Whether it was setting up a formation or cultivating, it was essential. Second, to know the way to enter the 9th level of the 8 gods' heavenly palace. Although he was the new Lei Gong, Lin Ling knew that there were many people stronger than him in the 9 prefectures void. Especially in the spirit nation. Therefore, Lin Ling knew that he had to become stronger. Taoist Master Duobao, I heard that you know of a secret realm in the God realm. Is this true? Just as everyone sat down, someone immediately asked with a smile. You guys are quite well informed. Taoist Master Duobao drank a mouthful of wine and smiled. Then, he saw everyone's expectant expression and nodded. I do know of a secret realm. This secret realm was left behind by the gods back then. It's called the Holding Ear Ox Cave. However, it's also extraordinary because it's said to have a demonic god from back then. The fiend gods left behind by the gods are very terrifying. Of course, because they were left behind by the gods, there are countless treasures. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. In the 9 prefectures void, many people had obtained benefits from the god realm and became gods in one step. Therefore, if it was a secret realm left behind by the gods, there would be countless opportunities. There are still demonic gods there. Suddenly, a doubtful voice was heard. It was Lin Ling's voice. That's right. The Ear Ox Cave was left behind by the head of the 7 sages of the Age of the Gods, the Ox Demon. Back then, he used some sort of divine ability to take the Ear Ox Cave away, avoiding the dusk of the gods. Tens of millions of years later, the Ear Ox Cave floated back to the god realm. However, due to the divine ability, the demonic gods in the cave can't come out now. But it's about time for them to come out. Taoist Master Duobao said with a smile. Chi. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and finally calmed down. It turned out that there were still demonic gods in the Holding Ear Ox Cave. It seemed that those treasures weren't easy to obtain. Wealth comes from danger. You are all gods of the 9 prefectures. If you don't go, who will? In any case, this old man doesn't have the fortune to go to that place. If you go, I hope that you can bring back a metal box for this old man. In this way, I will tell you the location and won't take any reward. Taoist Master of Many Treasures said again, but his eyes were looking at Lin Ling. He seemed to be asking everyone to help him, but in reality, he was asking Lin Ling to help him. Is there a divine spring in this ox cave? Lin Ling sensed Taoist master of many treasures' intentions and smiled faintly. Of course there are. Furthermore, there are quite a number of them. By the way, Grim Demon once fought the descendants of Ox Fiend and killed countless Ox Fiends. After he died, the Ox Fiend of the Ox Cave wanted to take revenge, so he took something of Grim Demon's and hid it in the Ox Cave. Taoist master of many treasures continued. Slaughter Demon. Lin Ling's eyes lit up, and he looked at Taoist Duo Bao in disbelief. He knew that Taoist Duo Bao had said that on purpose. Taoist master of many treasures clearly knew about his demon-slaying sword, which was why he had released such bait. In that case, he, Lin Ling, had no choice but to go. Then, I wonder what Grim Demon left behind. Lin Ling asked curiously. Now, Lin Ling had collected all the broken swords in the sword hilt. He could trigger the steps of slaughter, so Lin Ling was also curious about what Grim Demon had left behind in the divine world. Ahead. Taoist Duo Bao looked at Lin Ling indifferently and said meaningfully. This sentence finally cleared Lin Ling's doubts. Ahead. This was definitely Grim Demon's head. Back when Lin Ling obtained the sword hilt, a headless elder would often float out and ask Lin Ling for his head. Therefore, if Taoist Duo Bao's words were true, then the ox cave definitely had Grim Demon's head. Once the head was found, it was unknown what changes would happen to the sword hilt. However, Lin Ling had a feeling that it was definitely very strong. Perhaps it could restore some of Grim Demon's glory from back then. May I know what the metal box that Senior wants looks like? After putting away his thoughts, Lin Ling looked at Taoist Duo Bao and said. Upon hearing Lin Ling's words, Taoist Duo Bao immediately became excited. He used his realm essence to carve out an iron box. The iron box was rusty and was locked by a finger-sized iron lock. It looked very ordinary, but there were unknown flowers engraved on the iron box. It was hard to forget. Alright, I'll remember it. Alright. Lin Ling nodded and agreed to help Taoist Duo Bao find the iron box. However, he also asked, Taoist Duo Bao has always had many treasures, so his horizons are naturally different from ordinary people's. Therefore, an iron box that can interest Senior is probably extraordinary. Hee. The world will host from the primordial world to the age of gods is recorded in the iron box. I'm only interested in the world will host, so I want to take a look at that iron box. Alright. Taoist Duo Bao didn't hide it as he secretly sent a voice transmission to Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling's heart to palpitate. Could it be another world will host? If that was the case, there would be many people who wanted to obtain this iron box. It seems that there are many experts going to the ox cave this time. Yes. Lin Ling looked at Taoist Duo Bao with a smile that wasn't a smile. There are indeed many. Not long ago, Lord Ning of the Spirit Nation bought this information from me. Eugene, Titanic Crescent God, and the others also bought this information. Yes. Taoist Duo Bao didn't hide it as he nodded. That old fox. Yes. Hearing this, Lin Ling really wanted to beat Taoist Duo Bao up. If Taoist Duo Bao spread the news, the ox cave would definitely be in chaos. That old fox clearly had some ulterior motives. Perhaps he also wanted the 9 prefectures void and the Spirit Nation to fight in an abyss of suffering so that he could take advantage of it. I didn't expect that Taoist Duo Bao would be so interested in the remaining world will host. Yes. Lin Ling sneered and sent a telepathic message to him. His words caused Taoist Duo Bao to be startled. He still had a smile on his face, but it had clearly changed. As expected of Lord Lei Gong. You even know this kind of information. Very well. Taoist Duo Bao's gaze suddenly landed on the stone tablet on Giant Ghost's shoulder. He smiled and said, "It should be this fellow called Giant Ghost who told you." "Very well. You don't need to care about who told me. I can help you get the iron box, but I want to know what's inside. Also, you have to tell me the method to enter the 9th level of the 8 gods' heavenly palace." Lin Ling said. "Deal. Very well." Daoist Duo Bao nodded. Chapter 4368. At this moment, Daoist Duo Bao waved his right hand and drew a map in the air. The starting point of the map was the southern heavenly gate. Everyone's strength was not weak, so they immediately remembered it in their hearts. "Okay, I've said what I needed to say. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Goodbye." After drawing the map, Daoist Duo Bao left behind a sentence and immediately left the 2nd floor. "You want to leave?" Emperor God Zhang Gang's eyes flashed with a cold light. The chains tied to his body quietly swam out, wanting to capture Daoist Duo Bao. However, when Daoist Duo Bao walked out of the 2nd floor, he strangely disappeared, as if he had never appeared. That old fox, as expected, he had a trick up his sleeve. Yes. In fact, even Lin Ling secretly made a move, but in the end, he still failed. When Daoist Duo Bao stood up, he immediately used the stairs of wisdom to seal the entire 2nd floor. However, when he was about to do something, Daoist Duo Bao disappeared from Lin Ling's stairs of wisdom. Such a divine ability was beyond Lin Ling's expectations. He dared to come, as expected, he had a trick up his sleeve. Yes. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu said indifferently. Clearly, he had also secretly made a move, but he had also failed. "All of you, leave." Yes. Lin Ling chased away everyone on the 2nd floor, then told everyone about Daoist Duo Bao's secret transmission. That iron box actually recorded the world will's host body. Yes. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others' expressions changed. Now that the host body had appeared, the 9 prefectures void would be shaken. Moreover, everyone knew that there were already 6 hosts, so there were only 4 left. Although no one knew who the 4 hosts were, everyone knew that among all the hosts, there would definitely be one that could decide the fate of the entire 9 prefectures void and even the entire era of gods. No wonder the spirit nation and the 9 prefectures void wanted to know who the host body was. It seems that the trip to the Ear Ox cave is more troublesome than expected. Yes. Emperor God Zhang Gang also said. Because it was related to the host body, there would definitely be many experts. Although it's a bit troublesome, we have to go to the Ear Ox cave because there's a divine spring that can increase our strength. Yes. Lin Ling rubbed his forehead, suppressed the troublesome matter, and said. That's right. After we became gods, our cultivation speed became very, very slow. In the end, other than our lack of comprehension of the Great Tao, there is another reason, which is that we don't have enough cultivation resources. The effect of cultivating with imperial crystals is very weak. Only the divine spring is useful, but even so, it's the divine spring. In order to cultivate, the amount required was also huge. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu nodded. He and God Emperor Zhang Gang had long become gods, but they were unable to break through. It was because they did not have enough cultivation resources. It was obviously very difficult to gather enough cultivation resources in the Jojo Void. It was only possible in the realm of the gods. In that case, let us prepare for our journey. Lin Ling stood up and led the group out of the restaurant. However, when they arrived at the 1st floor, Long Yan was already waiting there. Lin Ling, I'll go with you. Long Yan looked at Lin Ling with a complicated expression, then gritted her teeth and said. She already knew that this trip to the realm of the gods would not be simple. It would be very dangerous to go alone. Therefore, if she could follow Lin Ling and the others, it would be much easier. Okay. Lin Ling smiled at her and nodded. So straightforward. Seeing this, Longyang could not help but be surprised. She thought that Lin Ling would take the opportunity to make some requests. Who knew that Lin Ling would agree without hesitation? What's there to be fussy about? Even if you go to the realm of the gods and get some opportunities, you might not be able to defeat me. Lin Ling shrugged indifferently and strode past Longyang. Of course, there's another reason, which is that this trip is very dangerous. Even I can't guarantee anything, so it's better to have one more helper than one more enemy. Hearing this, Longyang looked at Lin Ling's back as he left, and her expression became even more complicated. After leaving, Lin Ling first went to visit the third princess and grandma Wen Dao. Of course, he also went to the martial god barracks to give everyone pointers on their cultivation. After that, he immediately left without stopping. After a long time, everyone appeared in the void of Lei Gong's main hall. They were all looking and listening to Lin Ling's information. Ox Cave. The young Qilin frowned and suddenly recalled, that's the territory of the demon god Ox Demon. Then, he saw that Lin Ling was puzzled, so he explained, back then, the realm of the gods was full of demons. There were many ancient demons that even the gods and Buddhas did not dare to provoke. One of them was the head of the 7 saints, the Ox Demon. Although no one knows where the Ox Demon went, his descendants were not simple. They were all as powerful as the gods, and they were called the Ox Demon clan. The head of the 7 saints. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. Could it be the Ox Demon King, the demon god of the primordial era? Young Qilin, you were left behind from the era of the gods, so you must go. Then, Lin Ling looked at the young Qilin and said. Okay. The young Qilin nodded. Lin Ling, I'll go too. Shengyi said immediately. How about this, half of us will stay here, and the rest will follow us. After all, the Ox Cave is also a land of treasures. You might be able to find your own fortuitous encounters there. Of course, those who stay at home don't have to worry. When we return, we will leave a portion of the treasures to you. Okay. Lin Ling pondered and then made arrangements. We'll follow Lord Lei Gong's orders. Great leader, we'll do as you say. The people in Lei Gong's main hall and the God Slayer Alliance replied in unison. You, the two of you will go as well. Gu, will stay in the void. What do you think? Then, Lin Ling looked at his wives and said. As Yu and Inuer were stronger, it was suitable for them to explore the Ox Cave. After all, the two of them were only a little bit away from becoming gods. Although Xian Yuan Gu, was also very strong, her strength came from the many treasures she had. Her talent was not outstanding. Okay. Xian Yuan Gu, nodded obediently. She did not want to be Lin Ling's burden when she went to the divine world. Don't worry. When you reach the peak of the martial god realm, I will bring you to the divine world. Yu and the rest have also reached the peak of the martial god realm. They can also try to become gods in the 9 prefectures. Lin Ling walked toward Xian Yuan Gu and held Xian Yuan Gu's hand. The latter nodded with a smile. Chapter 4369. Alright, let's go. Lin Ling did not beat around the bush and gave the order to the group. After all, the experts from the Spirit Nation and Eugene had probably gone to the Ox Cave. Hence, Lin Ling did not want to lag behind them. Of course, it was better for them to go first. After all, the Ox Cave had the powerful demon bull. With them leading the way, Lin Ling and the rest would benefit from it. Soon, the group left the void. With the old man leading the way, Lin Ling and the rest flew towards the broken realm of the gods. The realm of the gods. Yu and the rest had never been to the realm of the gods. Hence, they were very curious about this legendary place. After a long time, fragments of land began to appear in front of them. They were scattered all over the void. Among them, a huge gate of God sat there. It was majestic and majestic. The huge pillar of the gate was as huge as a mountain. Even from afar, they could see the swirling vortex in the gate. However, the vortex was still and not moving. It was very magical. Is that the gate of the gods? Yu and Yu couldn't help but exclaim in shock when they saw this. That's right. Lin Ling nodded. Although it was not his first time here, he was still shocked when he saw the majestic gate. He could imagine that in the past, there were countless divine soldiers and divine generals guarding this gate. The gods of the gods were like locusts, entering and leaving through this gate. It represented the glory of the realm of the gods in the past. Lord Lei Gong, there are people in front. At this time, a trial taker's voice came from behind. Lin Ling looked over and saw that there were many people gathered outside the gate of the gods. Because there is a time limit to entering the realm of the gods. Otherwise, the huge vortex in the gate will not transport you to the realm of the gods. You may be lost in the realm of the gods forever. Hence, those who want to enter have to wait. An old man explained to Lin Ling patiently. Lin Ling nodded and sped up. After a while, Lin Ling saw that the people waiting at the gate of the god world were from Eugene and the Titanic Crescent god. Among them, there were two familiar faces, three spirits and Qing Mo. Lin Ling continued to search for them, but he couldn't find them. It was Luli Empress' turn. If Luli Empress was here, Lin Ling might have attacked her on the spot. Other than the three spirits and Qing Mo., there was another person that he was familiar with. He seemed to be a participant called He Qi. Back then in the Kaiyuan River, this person had also offended Lin Ling. And they were gathered outside the gates of the god realm, obviously waiting for the gates to open. Get out of my way. At this moment, a cold voice sounded from Lin Ling's side. Saint Guy took a large step forward and looked coldly at the group of people. Get out of my way. In front of the giant gates, a person frowned and sneered. They had been waiting here for 3 months and were about to enter the gate of the god realm. But now, someone was telling them to get out of the way. I'll give you a chance. Take back what you said and kneel down to apologize. If you do, I won't kill you. The person slowly turned around, but when he saw the group of experts coming from afar, his expression changed instantly. Lei Gong's Great Hall. He obviously didn't expect Lei Gong's Great Hall to tell him to get out of the way. Lin Ling. Everyone else's expression changed when they saw the experts coming from afar. Three spirits and Qing Mo, in particular, had a look of panic in their eyes. Get out of my way. With Shengyi leading the way, his cold and indifferent voice drifted out once more, appearing incomparably domineering. Saint Guy, how arrogant. Among the crowd, a woman snorted. She was one of the 8 new gods, Luotian. She was almost killed by Qilin during the battle in the void. Why would Lei Gong's Great Hall suddenly want to go to the realm of gods? Didn't they disappear without a trace? Damn it, Lei Gong's Great Hall received the news so quickly. I'm afraid he's also going to the ox-holding cave. Behind the woman, the crowd was also discussing, but they didn't dare to move at all. Didn't you hear what I said? Get out of my way. Saint Guy shouted angrily again. 3 spirits and the others were standing in front of the realm of gods, ready to enter. There were many of them, and if they all went in one by one, there was no telling when it would be Lei Gong's turn. Therefore, Saint Guy wanted them to get out of the way and let Lei Gong's Great Hall enter first. Isn't Lei Gong's Great Hall too overbearing? We've been waiting for almost 3 months. Although they were afraid of Lei Gong's Great Hall, an old man gritted his teeth and said, slap him. However, just as he complained, a majestic voice sounded from behind. It was Lin Ling's voice. Roger. Saint Guy was stunned at first, but then he was overjoyed. Because Eugene and the Titanic Crescent God's people had forced Lei Gong to his death, Lei Gong's Great Hall had been holding a grudge against them. Now that Lin Ling had spoken, they naturally didn't have to hold back. Saint Guy rushed in front of the old man and slashed out with his blade. The old man was so frightened that he didn't dare to resist. Then, Saint Guy grabbed him and slapped him in the face. Slap! Slap! The crisp sound of slapping echoed through the void. Luotian and the other experts gritted their teeth. This Lin Ling was too arrogant. Lin Ling, that's enough. Aren't you afraid that Eugene and the others will be angry with you for being so arrogant? Luotian was the strongest among them, and she was also one of the 8 new gods, so she spoke on behalf of everyone. Who do you think you are? Do you think you have the right to speak to Lord Lei Gong? However, Lin Ling, who wasn't far from Lin Ling, took a step forward and released a terrifying aura. If Lei Gong hadn't ordered the Great Hall of Lei Gong not to avenge him, Lin Ling would have already killed Luotian. Go back and tell Eugene that I, Lin Ling, am arrogant. If she doesn't like it, tell her to come find me personally. At this time, Lin Ling said indifferently. With that, he led everyone towards the Divine World's Great Hall. Scram! Along the way, the experts who were blocking the Divine World's Great Hall were all sent flying. Some of them were beaten black and blue, but they didn't dare to resist. They could only glare at Lin Ling and the others with anger. They felt that they had been humiliated, and it was a heavy humiliation. Lin Ling, we've waited for 3 months. Everything has a first-come first-served basis. Why don't you let us go in first? Luotian also felt humiliated, but she endured it and said through gritted teeth. Nonsense. Lin Ling looked at her with disdain and replied coldly. I have 3 divine springs here. If you let us go in first, these treasures will belong to you. How about it? Luotian gritted her teeth again, but she still didn't dare to go against Lin Ling, so she said in a low voice. With that, she waved her right hand and the 3 divine springs appeared in front of her. She pushed them towards Lin Ling. The divine springs were what Lin Ling valued the most. Chapter 4370. Sanwang Divine Spring, you're really generous. Lin Ling looked at Luotian Dao indifferently. He wasn't familiar with Luotian Dao, but he could sense that Luotian Dao was very powerful. As long as Hall Lei Gong is willing to accept it and the misunderstanding can be resolved, all of this will be worth it. After all, Lord Lei Gong knows that we were forced to do so. Luotian Dao immediately smiled when she saw that Lin Ling had relented. Lin Ling, I will also offer 2 holy springs. I hope that we can forget about our past grievances. Luotian Dao and Qin Mo quickly stepped out of the holy springs and said with smiles. A total of 7 holy springs floated towards Lin Ling. This was enough to show Luotian Dao's sincerity. After all, everyone knew how precious the holy springs were. Moreover, Luotian Dao and the rest were the 8 new deities. Even though they were humiliated by Lin Ling, they didn't dare to be angry. Instead, they offered treasures to build a friendship. This showed how humble they were. Forget about our past grievances. Lin Ling suddenly smiled and looked at Luotian Dao and the rest indifferently. Yes. Luotian Dao and the rest nodded. They thought that Lin Ling was tempted. However, at that moment, Lin Ling said calmly, everyone here, hand over 10 holy springs and we will forget about our past grievances. 10 holy springs per person. How could that be possible? After all, even someone as powerful as Luotian Dao only had 3 holy springs. Moreover, it was the result of many years of accumulation. It was difficult for her to take out 10 holy springs, let alone 10 holy springs per person. If that was the case, they would have to hand over thousands of holy springs. Lin Ling, you are making a fool out of us. The faces of the 3 spirits instantly turned ugly, and so did the others, especially Luotian. Her face was the coldest because she had already humbled herself. However, Lin Ling had ruthlessly trampled on her apology in front of so many people. So what if I am making a fool out of you? Lin Ling shrugged and gave young Qilin a look. Young Qilin understood and pounced on Luo Shindao. Then, screams were heard. Young Qilin had grabbed Luo Shindao by the neck and they were kowtowing to Lin Ling in the void. As Luo Shindao was the one who had been grumbling, he had started with him. How overbearing. Seeing this, everyone gasped. However, they pursed their lips tightly and didn't dare to say a word. Even Luoshan was the same. Because she had a feeling that if she dared to speak nonsense, Lin Ling would also dare to attack her. Why aren't you speaking? When the young Qilin grabbed the three spirits to kowtow, it also gave them a few fierce slaps, causing them to feel dizzy and disoriented. The three spirits could not resist at all, and did not even dare to resist. Although he was also one of the 8 new gods, his strength was clearly no match for the young Qilin. Let's go. Lin Ling glanced at Luo Shindao and Luo Shindao. Then, he led the group to the gate of the god realm. Everyone lowered their heads and did not dare to block his path. After Lin Ling and the rest had passed, they looked at the people in Lei Gong's hall with complicated gazes. The new generation of thunder gods was even more domineering than the old generation of thunder gods. That was the only thought in their minds. Thunder had always been domineering and unruly. However, the thunder god had experienced too much back then and had long cultivated his character. Therefore, although he gave people the impression that he was majestic, he was not domineering. However, Lin Ling was different. He appeared to be unparalleled and domineering. Lin Ling, wait for us. Just as Lin Ling and the rest arrived at the gate of the god realm, a large number of people flew over from afar. Leading them was Tsuehua. This group of people were the elites from the Kurishin. Tsuehua, Little South. Lin Ling's eyes wandered and could not help but smile. It really is Brother Lin Ling. Little South also smiled excitedly. Then, she led the Kurishin people to Lin Ling's side. Where are the Kurishin? Lin Ling looked at them from head to toe and asked. Grandpa Kurishin has already gone in. Hearing this, Cui Hua immediately said. Lin Ling nodded. It seemed that the treasure in the ear-holding ox cave must be extraordinary. Otherwise, that old man who only knew how to smoke would never make a move. Oh right, Grandpa Kurishin asked us to apologize on your behalf. Tsuehua suddenly thought of something and quickly bowed to Lin Ling and the rest. She was talking about Lei Gong's death. At that time, the Kurishin did not come to help. It's okay. If Lord Lei Gong was here, he would know your painstaking efforts. Lin Ling smiled and shook his head. He had a feeling that even if Lei Gong was still alive, he would not want the Kurishin to help. Because at that time, Lei Gong could not face the Kurishin. After all, Lei Gong and the Kurishin had the same mission and goal, which was to attack the will of the world. And this was no longer a matter of personal friendship. It was a matter of their standpoints. During the few days when Lord Lei Gong died, Grandpa Kurishin was in a bad mood. I saw him cry. Seeing that Lin Ling did not care, Tsuehua and the rest said in low spirits. This also let Lin Ling know that the Kurishin and Lord Lei Gong had a deep friendship. Perhaps the Kurishin's grief was no less than theirs after Lei Gong's death. Rumble. At this moment, the gate of the realm of God in front of them rumbled. Then, the originally still whirlpool finally began to rotate slowly. Lord Lei Gong, the whirlpool has risen. After entering the whirlpool, we will reach the realm of God. An old man behind him immediately reminded. Lin Ling nodded and took a big step forward. He took the lead and shot into the gate of the realm of God. Seeing the people in Lei Gong's hall rushing into the gate of the realm of God, Luoshan and the rest in the distance were envious. They wanted to get closer to the gate of the realm of God, but when they thought of Lin Ling's tyranny, they held back in the end. After all, Lei Gong had Lei Gong's prestige. How could he enter the gate of the realm of God at the same time as others? Therefore, if they dared to barge in, they would definitely end up in a miserable state. When Lin Ling and the rest disappeared one after another, the whirlpool of the gate of the realm of God suddenly stopped. Obviously, entering the gate of the realm of God this time might not be entering the realm of God. This also meant that they had missed this opportunity again. Bastard! Seeing this, everyone could not help but curse angrily. They had waited for a full 3 months. It was not easy to wait, but it was snatched away by Lin Ling. Now, they obviously had to wait for another 3 months. This Lin Ling. Thinking of this, everyone felt so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood, but there was no way to vent it. Rumble. Looking at Lin Ling and the rest, they passed through the whirlpool of the realm of God in the ancient forest. In Lin Ling's mind, the mysterious scene that he saw when he first walked through the gate of the realm of God appeared again in a hazy state. However, it disappeared quickly this time. When Lin Ling appeared, an ancient divine wind spread out. However, when it reached Lin Ling's surroundings, it was immediately blocked by divine origin. Compared to the last time, Lin Ling did not feel any pressure this time. It seemed that only with divine origin could one not bear the pressure in the realm of God. Looking at Yu and the rest, because they had not stepped into the realm of God, they immediately felt a strong pressure coming at them. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.